maybe we can start off with this question, right? Over the years, people must have asked you the age-old question of like, what do you do?
Yes.
and what I think what would be interesting as a primer to the interview is maybe in chronological order, answer that question and then pack an age to that label.
Wow, where do we start? I'm really multi-passionate, and I think the ideas come faster than I can execute them. So I think that, I'm always coming up with something new and always trying something new, and I'm not afraid in trying and experimenting, and when things fail, I don't mind shutting them down as well. And even when things work, I don't mind shutting them down as well. It's just to what I call scratch and itch, and I've got so many itches developing all the time. I say, very restless. Yeah. And I guess this is a blight and also a blessing for someone who is like has a very active brain and is like the creative juices just keeps flowing. And for me, I know that when you are in a creative zone, it is very important for you to actually not sit on it for too long, because if it doesn't materialize or you don't act on it, this creative juice is going to find somebody else. It will leave you. So it's a way. It's also I'm kind of like in a FOMO zone a little bit. Sometimes when I feel that the idea is really good, I just feel that it's a waste if I don't work on it. So that's a reason why I work on so many things. And also I'm a Gemini, and I get very, very bored very easily and very quickly. So I always need to have something exciting and new to try in my life. So that's just part and parcel of me. This is my DNA. So what I've done was, wow, where do I even begin? Even as a kid,
the first label you give yourself. And how old?
I'm that kind. Even in school, I have 4 or 5 different ECAs kind, So I don't even know where to start. I've been like that since young. Like 1 is not enough, 2 not enough, 3 also not enough. Let's just try 4. Oh my God, maybe 5. So in secondary school, I was in Hua Yue Tuan. Okay, I was in
Chinese orchestra.
Chinese orchestra, yeah, okay. Right? And I was very good at it, right? And then I was in track and field. Lest you think that I'm the very cultural kind. Then I was also in storytelling, 相声比赛. I was also student counselor. I was in English drama, Chinese drama. I was a student counselor as well. That's 8 for you already. And class monitor, 9.
Wow.
Then whatever contests there are in school or to represent our schools, especially when it's storytelling or 相声比赛 or drama, I will always volunteer and I will just do it. I was so active, right? So in fact, I think that my studies was part-time, but my ECA was more full-time. But I'm very glad that I have that inbuilt in my bones, because I feel that is part of the entrepreneurial streak that I didn't know I had, about having different kinds of ideas and working on an idea that you're passionate about and just exploring and being really, very curious. So in school, lots of ECAs. When I went out to work, I only had 2 desk jobs, right? The first one was with MediaCorp Television. I led the interactive department. It was a totally brand new department, because at that point in time, the .com was so new. Nobody knew what the heck was happening, even for a traditional media company, right? But it was a new form of medium, right? And I kind of was the one who knew the most about internet. So even though I was really very junior, my responsibilities were huge. So I managed a group of writers. We were creating websites for Art Central and Kids Central and things like that. So that was that. Didn't stay long. 2 years I left. Then I went to join the Haw Par Villa redevelopment project because I am very old school and I have a lot of heart for heritage in Singapore. And at that time, it was very sacrilegious that they were contemplating on the idea of tearing down the whole Haw Par Villa to build condominiums. Okay? So this is typical Singapore, right? So I was like, no, we got to save this like treasure,
heritage.
This heritage, please don't squander it off like that. This is so unique. I mean, it's kind of wacky and weird place, but it has so much character,
Potential.
Potential, right? And then because the government didn't know what to do with that place, it's just a quaint place, right? So I went in there, so I always tell people, when they ask me where I work, I say I work at 10 Courts of Hell. The dragon and then the 10 Courts of Hell's inside, right? Yeah, but I had a great time there because I was the youngest punk. And then all the people who were there were like old uncles, old aunties, like even the artisans, the uncle. Lunchtime was always very fun because it's communal. We will gather at the beer garden canteen and then we will all eat. Okay, so anyway, that was my second desk job. Then after that, that was when my entrepreneurial thing kicked in. right? I had a chance to help a friend build a boutique day spa. And I was very, very involved. I wasn't like the boss or anything. But in the process of that, we actually pumped in money of our own. And that experience turned out to be really good because it was my first taste of building something from scratch. But it was also very painful because that person that I helped and worked with eventually turned out to be a professional con woman. And I lost close to $300,000. And then what happened was just 6 months of depression. Because I felt like the business went pear-shaped, not because we didn't do a good job, but because of the situation and the context and the environment. And at a point in time when I felt very victimized, I still didn't know my friend was a professional con woman because she sold a different story to me why the business failed. Long story short, because I got so excited about building things from scratch, I knew I didn't want to go back to the cubicle and work for someone else. That was when the entrepreneurial DNA got like woken up, right? And I went like, what can I do on my own, right? Since I don't want to go back to the cubicle. So that was when I decided to look at what am I good at? What am I passionate about? What am I willing to suffer for? What am I willing to just, even if I can just merely survive and pay the bills, I'll be happy in the doing every day. And the answer was, oh my God, web design. So that was how I decided to start my own web design business, one-man bandwagon.
Magic mushroom.
Oh my God, you do your research.
What are you talking about?
Oh my God. Oh my God, you do your research. So, oh my God. Yeah, you're good, man. Magic mushroom. It was very funny, no sidetrack. People would call and ask me if I actually sell magic mushroom, like psychedelics. Really, I'm not kidding. They will call and say, hello, do you sell that kind of mushroom, huh? Then I said, no. Like, you said, yeah, but you like color. I said, yeah, my design is very colorful. But I don't sell psychedelics. Anyway, I started from there. If you want to ask me about the first job that I got, we can talk about that later. But
then what do you like if someone would if you were to answer the question?
What do I do, right?
Yeah, how do you tell people? What do you tell people?
Well, in the past, the thing is what I do is still ever morphing, right? Now, if I were to tell you what I'm doing, again, like a whole Rolodex of a list of things that I'm doing, how to define who I am. So I call myself a serial entrepreneur. I came up with this this term called serial entrepreneur, but it's also a take on the fact that I do things serially. I always come up with new ideas, but the word serial is spelled C-E-R-E-A-L, as in the breakfast cereal, my pin. So people will go like, oh, that's interesting. Like, what do you mean by serial entrepreneur? And then I would be like, okay, I do things for the love of it and not for the money. Which means this whole term is big enough for me to contain so many different ideas. I'm not defined by that one idea that I do, whether it's content publishing or panoramic imaging that I do, or UX and UI design, which I do also. And now I'm doing personal coaching and I'm doing corporate retreats as well.
When did you come out with that term?
Last year.
Oh. Why? And before that, what was it?
Before that, I will always tell people, oh my God, I do so many different things. I do this. I run business in this. So I will have to say a few items on my list lah. Right. Like a short form version. And really it depends on who you're talking to. You know, if that person gravitates towards certain kind of businesses which you run, then you tell them more about that. Right? And then what happens is they'll be like, oh my God, you do so many things, where do you find the time? You know? But these days, and what I'm trying to encourage other people to do also is not, when people ask you that a proverbial question at a cocktail party, what do you do, right? It's a very dreadful question because most people will just answer, oh, I'm an engineer, I'm a teacher, I'm an architect. Right, I'm a designer. That's the way that most people do it anyway. So we're kind of tagging what we do to our job title, right, or our job scope. So what I encourage people to do these days, and also I try to do, is that we open up and say, creatively, if you have a creative brief in your life, what would that be, right? What is your creative, like, bigger role that you're playing in life? So for me, the way I will explain or describe what I do other than being a serial entrepreneur is I will tell people I seek to bring out the best work in people. This is what I seek. So it's very big. So people are like, oh, so what do you do? So I'm like, okay, I'm a boss. I try and encourage my guys to do their best work, you know, and also to pursue their own interests on the side as well. I always encourage them to have a side hustle. Don't give all your time to me. Really, do something else, build something else. And if you ever build something else on the side that is big enough to eclipse the work that you do for me, please go. You know, so I seek to bring out the best in people. Also, when I do coaching, when I do corporate retreats, that's what I'm trying to do also. And when I write an article, when I do an interview with you, I'm sharing something that I hope will touch someone and will bring out something in them. So my bigger role in this universe is that's what I'm trying to do. And it sits so well with, it doesn't matter whether I'm doing a t-shirt or whether I'm writing a blog or I'm doing a retreat. I'm always trying to bring out the best in people. So that's my job title, lor. That's what I do. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Let's dive into your childhood a little bit because that gives a lot of context on...
my childhood.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Do you want to paint me a picture of like, you know, how is it like growing up? I know you shared a little bit about the hard times that, you know...
Very hard.
Yeah.
Where do I even begin? I was born into a very rich family. I would say one of the richest families in Singapore, probably. We own properties, we own land. My dad used to own Porsche and Renault. We were very, very rich. My dad's family, they have always been rich, very wealthy. But my mom's side, my maternal side, they are the... Oh. In camera. Okay, so my mom's side, they're the typical heartlander, poor, you know, living paycheck to paycheck and have to be very careful about expenditure and stuff. And my mom was very lucky, met my dad and got married into the wealthy family. So life changed for her. For me, I was born into the rich family, right? My dad's side, the family is huge. They are like what, maybe 20 siblings and stuff like that. And some of them are adopted. And then the siblings have kids. And then, big wealthy family. Okay, so what happened was, I'll try and give you a very condensed version now because it's very, very dramatic. But when I was 10 years old, my dad committed commercial crime and disappeared on us, the whole family. And I've never seen him ever since. I was 10. My younger brother was 5. My mom was a mere 31. So my mom has been a living widow ever since. She's never remarried. She's not divorced from my dad. We became dadless when I was 10. So what happened was we lost everything overnight. And to put things into perspective, my dad didn't actually commit the crime itself from what I know. Okay. And the thing is that this all happened when I was very young. I didn't have the the capability of understanding the magnitude of what went wrong. And also my mom, because she's not educated, she didn't meddle with my dad's affairs and stuff, right? So she's the kind of wife who just lives her own life, take care of the kids. And she didn't even really take care of us. She just dumped us at my grandmother's place. And then she will lead her high soul life, you know, her Thai life. And so she didn't really know what the fuck went on when my dad left, right? She was quite clueless. Add to that, both kids are so small, couldn't help her also. She's not educated. She doesn't speak a single word of English. My paternal side, the family, is just super toxic. So when whole thing happened, it took a couple of years to unravel, you know, and then the CID will come every day and how my mom would, because she has got a weak heart condition since she was a kid, she's had multiple bypasses, she would faint every other day at home. The police didn't believe that my mom didn't know where my dad went. So the day my dad disappeared, very TCS drama series, my dad and my mom actually crossed paths on the road in their own cars. And that was the last my mom saw my dad. My dad actually wound down the window and said hi to my mom. That was in the day. In the evening, after she picked me up from school and deposited me at my grandmother's place, while she was at my grandmother's place, she received an anonymous call. And the caller didn't know who the caller was, just left a message and said, Ping Ping, who is your dad, my dad's nickname, Ping Ping wants me to relay a message to you to take good care of yourself and the kids, and he's gone. So my mom thought it was a prank call, like what the heck, I just saw my husband in the afternoon. So everything just went pear-shaped after that. My dad really was missing, CID came, and lots of people came knocking on the door asking for money. So we lost everything. But the good thing was my maternal family is the typical Heartlander, poor, but their hearts are so full kind. And they have got really good values kind. They're good people. So they took us in, my brother, my mom, myself. And I've been brought up lah. So that became my home. And the reason why I didn't become so screwed up later, when I asked my therapist, I had a meltdown 6 years ago. I'm sure we're going to talk about that later. But during the recovery period, I asked my therapist, like, why is it that I'm not screwed up? Like, you know, maybe I'm screwed up in other ways, but I wasn't a delinquent. You know, I didn't like mess up. I mean, I'm okay lah. I would say that I'm doing quite well now. You know, I'm happy. So she said, the reason why you are not fucked up is because of your grandmother. Your primary caregiver was your grandmother who showed you the value and the concept of unconditional love. And she gave that to you. She nourished you. So you cannot be fucked up. Right? You were not abandoned. You were not forsaken. Maybe by your dad, yeah, only, full stop. Right? So then, one thing my grandmother told me when I was growing up, soon after my dad left, was we're Teochew family, my mom's side. She said, "Bo pe hia wei jiang." So that means without the daddy, the eldest brother becomes the daddy. So I was forced to grow up very quickly. I had to put aside myself. It just became about worrying about my mom, pussyfooting around my mom, trying to solve problems at home, trying to be on my best behavior, trying to excel in everything so that I would bring my mom a sliver of joy amidst all this drama. And I didn't want to make my mom any sadder or angrier or more disappointed because I felt she was a very poor thing. So that led to the way I was being wired. I'm a go-getter. I'm a high achiever. I'm a perfectionist. It's never good enough.
How was your mom relationship with you?
It's a developing one. I didn't like my mom or my dad when I was young because, well, just basically they didn't care about us, right? They cared about the business and the money and the wealth and the high soul. So I spent all my time with my grandmother, even since I was a baby, even before my dad left. My grandmother was my primary caregiver. My parents were so young, they didn't know how to take care of kids. So the routine every week was that I would stay with my grandmother Monday till Saturday. Saturday night or evening, my parents will come and pick me up. Okay, then I will go back to that big house or big houses. Okay, and then I will have my own room. We'll have maids and stuff, and I'll be so miserable. And I'll be counting down. It's almost like trying to count down, like book out, from camp, Like how miserable, you just want to get out of camp, when I was like doing NS.
How do you feel?
I felt like I didn't want to be at home with my parents. So it would be Saturday, right? And then I was trying and really just go to bed and sleep as quickly as I can and just pray that time passes as quickly as I can so that I can get out of this house. I can go back to with my grandmother. Because my grandma, it was a source of comfort. It was so comforting for me. It's a safe place, but not with my mom and my dad.
But what is the contrast to your family and your grandma? How do you feel in that?
Well, because my mom, I will tell you how my mom used to punish me, right? So, let's finish that bit about the weekend first. Saturday, I will be brought home. Then Sunday, I will wake up early in the morning, and then I will go to a nice restaurant or the best eateries in Singapore, and my dad will just whatever we want, then we'll eat. After breakfast, our routine is that they will bring us to a toy shop, like a Toys R Us, right? And I can pick any item, any value, any value I can pick, but just one item for myself. And my brother, he was very young then, so he didn't really come up with us most of the time, right? So he was spared the agony lah. Lucky him. But then I can also pick a toy for him. So 2 toys. So that was the best part. I really suffered. I felt like I I pay with my suffering so that I can get the toy for myself and for my brother. And then I can bring back, and then we can be happy for a whole week until Saturday again. So that was that. So your question was, what's the contrast between why did my grandmother bring so much comfort and solace, and my dad and my mom? Why did I not like them? So basically, I have very little time with them, right? My dad is a man of not only few words, maybe he's a man of one word, like he's monosyllabic. Okay, so my dad really doesn't talk to me, and he is such a stern and authoritative person. He's very fierce. He's very strict, and it's like when he moves, the air molecules move with him kind, you know, he's like, I don't know, he scares the shit out of me, my dad, right? But he doesn't lay a finger on me, right, on my brother. He's just stern and authoritative, right? And he will always ask things like, how are you? Now I'll be like, okay. And that's it. Or, how's school? Or if I were to give him my best results in school, expecting to elicit a little bit of emotion from him, he'll be like, okay. So it's very minimal contact, which makes me feel like maybe a stranger feels more like a friend to me than my dad, right? Add to that, he's very authoritative. I was very fearful of him. So that was my dad's side, right? My mom, okay, just to give you an idea why my relationship with my mom has been rocky since I was young, was my mom is the typical tiger mom. If there is a tiger mom association, she will be the chair lady every year, okay? And this is how she trained me. She's the 望子成龙 kind, you know. She wants the son to excel in everything kind. And because she's Tai, she's well known. Then she goes, because I went to elite schools and stuff, right? So a lot of the moms were like, what does the son do? What does the daughter do? Then they'll compare notes kind of thing. So my mom wants the 面子, right? So she always pushed me to excel in everything, not only academically, but also in I took up ballet classes as well. I love dancing, right? I did organ, right? Musically, I was in Chinese orchestra, all these things, right? But academic, right? My mom is the kind that punishes me for every point that I'm away from 100. Okay, so if I got 100, it's supposed to be the norm. If I get 99, I was stroke once. 98, stroke twice. 95, stroke 5 times. Okay? Thankfully, I was an excellent student. The chances of me getting stroke in my first 2 years, very minimal. Because I was always getting 100. I was one of those very irritating students in school where when we are given back our exam paper and then my classmate will be like, oh my god, how much did you get, right? Then I'll be crying, right? Then she'll be like, then my classmate will be very happy, like he got like maybe 89 or 90. Then I'll be crying like, oh. They'll be like, oh my god, did you do very badly, you know? How many points did you get? Then I'll be like, oh, 99. I was very annoying. I was really annoying. But not because I wanted to annoy, but because to me, really, 99 is 晴天霹雳for me and my mom. I'm really going to get it when I get home. Yeah. So this doesn't just happen for the exams. This happens for all the continual assessments, the spelling test, the 听写, the assessments, everything. Exercise, anything that has got a score. When I'm away from 100, I get the caning. Add to that, my mom hired a tuition teacher to do the same, except she canes not from 100, she canes from 91 and below. Because 91 and above is A star ma.
Right.
Okay, so she had slightly lower standards than my mom lah. Okay, so very lucky. I was never caned by my tuition teacher until P3, there was a streaming test. I was from Nanyang Primary. Yeah. So they were trying to stream us, and they set an exceptionally difficult English paper, so that you can separate, you can really see the spectrum of the proficiency in that language, right? So what happened was, I did very badly. I did the worst in my whole primary school life. I think I had like 67 or something. But
67 on compared to the cohort?
No, 67 as in 100.
Well, but then the rest of your friends?
See, my mom doesn't care about relative performance. Right. She doesn't. Why? Because there was once, I had maybe like 98 or 97, okay? And when she caned me, she will always, okay, I must tell you about the ritual. The ritual is my mom will drive to her sports car to my school, pick me up. My mom is like a hawk, like an eagle. She will know exactly when I'm going to get back my papers one. She expects. She's like clockwork. So when she see my body language only, nearing the car, she will know I didn't get 100. Okay? So she'll be damn pissed off. Okay? Then she will be like, so, 你拿几分？然后我讲97 like very bad lah, very bad lor. Then she said 你回家你知道怎么做啦 okay? Because there's a ritual, okay? So go home 回家 means go back to my grandmother's place. So I'll take my big batzang, right? I'll walk. Then my mom will be in her high heels and kick clock. And a door, my grandmother will come open door, right? My grandma also know this is the ritual lah, okay? My grandma will look at me and be like, shucks, gonna get bitten again, this boy. Then I will be like crying already, dreading. Then I'll go into the house. Then my grandmother will always say, can you please let your son eat first? Except I will have no appetite. I'll be crying into my mue. And then my mue, the amma, will have more and more and more. It's like just crying, and then feeling so wretched about this whole thing. And then my mom will be brooding at the curtain on a rattan chair, like that, but bigger kind, very old school one, rattan chair. On the wall, there will be 2 hooks, 2 canes, okay? Baby blue color, baby pink color. Pink color is mine, because I'm very kunyang. So anyway, 2 canes, one for my brother, one for me, okay? So it'll be a ritual, after my lunch, which I barely will eat, right? I will take the 藤条, then I will go to my mom. That is like 家法 like that, Then my mom will sit. Then I will have to kneel down. I have to give her the cane. Then I have to take down my pants, my shorts. I have to turn around. Bare butt, then she will stroke. Okay? After she strokes like 97, 就3条 lah. Okay? Then she will always ask, do you know why I beat you? 你懂我打你做吗吗? So I will say 我知道成绩不好. Okay? So 下次要拿几分? 100分. Okay? So that was once, I 97, 98, and I was the highest in class, So I reasoned with my mom. I told her, I said, Mommy, she asked, 你知道我打你做什么吗? So I said, 你知道因为我97分 but 妈咪我是全班最高的分数 Then she, oh my god, she was so angry. 你跟我顶嘴 She said, 你最高你可以拿几分? 你管人家你是最高，你管人家比你差 Like, why are you so concerned about other people doing worse than you? What is the absolute best you can get? So I said, my absolute best is 100. Then she said, yeah. So she doubled the cane strokes. Multiplier effect. She said, this will teach you not to talk back to me and to think that you're so 厉害. So since young, this was a almost every other day event. So it is ingrained in my bones to excel. And I don't compare myself up to today. I don't care what other people are doing. Other people's misery doesn't make me feel better. Okay? Wow. Other people's success doesn't mean anything to me as well. Because I'm always competing with myself. I've been trained, ingrained in my bones that it doesn't matter what the world is like. What is the best you can do is 100. So whenever I achieve something big or small, I don't recognize it. I don't acknowledge. It's never good enough. I don't celebrate it. I was like that. I'm different now. But I was like that. So to answer back to your original question, which was my relationship with my mom. How can my relationship with my mom be good?
Because that was the only experience that you get from.
She was like a disciplinarian. She was she had very high demands, right? Which I could never meet consistently. Guess what? I got the 67, right? So I got K multiple times, right? I went to my tuition teacher. I got K multiple times, right? So my tuition teacher was very happy because for once she could cane me because below 91 she's like, hey, 终于可以打你了. Right? So my mom 很爱面子so 她打是打屁股. But 我的补习老师 didn't know, right? So 就打我的脚 like distribute因为很多 cane right? Strokes, so distributed. So what happened was, primary school, all wear shorts, right? So another terrible story, I was the kind that my mom would put me in school by 6 o'clock in the morning, even before the 校公 kind of open the gate. Okay, I'll hear crickets, I'll be alone, and I'll cry because I was so scared of the dark. Okay, so my school experience was just full of fear, basically. And there was one day, I went to school as usual at about 6 o'clock. Yep. And then there was, in Nanyang Primary School, the back gate, the staircase was very, very long flight of steps. So I took my batzang, so I walked. And behind me, there was someone. Okay, it was my form teacher. My form teacher was okay at 6 o'clock. Because she came in early to mark papers. That day only exceptional. Then she was like, hey, Wan Chou, that's my Chinese name. Wan Chou, why are you doing here so early? So I said, every day also so early, why not? Right? Then she said, oh really? So I started talking. Then that was when she then noticed that I had cane marks all over my legs. And she was like, what happened to you? Were you very naughty or mischievous at home? So my form teacher thought something was wrong because, you know, I was very obedient in school and stuff, right? Yeah. So I told her, I said, just matter of fact, I said, because I did very badly for my paper, you know. And then she said, really? Then I said, yeah. And then my tuition teacher also came in. So I said, so I just matter of fact, I just said, oh, my mom came in at my butt, but then this one is my tuition teacher. And she was like, okay, I need to speak to your mom. So I said, no, don't want the multiply effect. I said, don't want. You know, you only let me in hot soup, you know, even further. But anyway, teacher spoke to my mom. My mom stopped after that because I did very well for that test in terms of the cumulative frequency curve. You know, you plot. So relative performance. My mom finally got schooled in the concept of relative performance. And my teacher told her once and for all, you know, when it comes to composition and 作文是不可能拿满分的。没有人拿满分的。There is no perfect composition. We are not supposed to give 100. So you will always end up needing to cane him. So that's not advisable. Yeah. So that's my relationship with my mom when I was young lah. But it's definitely gotten much better because my mom had a lot of human revolution after my dad left. So she changed. She had to look into herself, examine her life. So she's a changed person. She's a very fervent Buddhist now. Oh, wow. Yeah. So she's very devoted. And my relationship with her is improving every day. And also now that I'm in my 40s, I'm learning to be more expressive with my mom, appreciative. I've never harbored a single strand of animosity or anger towards my mom. The strange thing is when I was punished, I felt like I deserved it. Yeah, but it's just that I don't feel, if you expect me to be very pally with my mom, you know, I love my mom, no, I don't have that kind since I was young. But I don't harbor any animosity towards my mom. Wow. Yeah.
Thank you for...
So that's a very long way of explaining my relationship with my mom, but I think I needed to give you the background why it's just full of tension since young.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I think let's change gear a little bit and talk about your entrepreneurship journey.
Yes.
So every entrepreneur have a start,
yes.
And you seem to have a bit of a rougher start than most. Maybe let's tell the story of how you became depressed on your first entrepreneurial venture.
Yeah. So, you know, we're talking about the day spa, right? It was called Asparagus. Don't you think the name was really nice? We embedded the word spa in asparagus. We were...
That was a trend back then.
Yeah, like, you know, wordplay, wordsmithing. Yeah, I thought it was so smart. But it was good. We were on Emerald Hill, those Peranakan shop house. It was a boutique day spa, and we specialized in Thai massage. And our masseurs were all from Thailand. Like, we really spent months sourcing and scouting for the best masseurs. And we had a great clientele, but the business barely survived more than 6 months. And at that time, when it went pear-shaped, I thought that it was our landlord giving us problems. And our landlords were giving us problems because we weren't paying, they said that we weren't paying the rent. But the friend whom I was helping set up the spa assured me that we are all okay financially, everything is paid, and that it was a landlord trying to be funny about fixing some of the problems, like the roofs were leaking, water was coming in, aircon was tripping. We couldn't run a business because it's an old Peranakan. It's an old building, so you have all these problems, and they wouldn't fix it. Yeah, shop house. Yeah. So they didn't want to fix it, so it became a great lock. In the end, basically, they changed the lock and threw us out. Okay, but I didn't know that all this happened because really the payment was just very screwed up. My friend, her name is Evelyn. I call her Evelyn because later I realized that she was a professional con woman. So she'll be the kind that will become your friend for 5 years. She will play the long game. In the 6th or 7th year or whatever, when she sees an opportunity to ketok you, and she will go as far as to set up a fake business to 骗你的钱. Kind. Okay, so that was what I got embroiled into. And then after that, it was just a series of finding out all the different lies that she has said from multiple parties. And they are so they are like so far-fetched that you wouldn't even believe. Like for example, I'll just give you an idea of how scary this woman is. After the business went pear-shaped, we wanted to get some of the capital back, right? So we said that because it was supposed to be a loan or something like that lah. So anyway, she was supposed to return us the money, but the money just the checks just kept having problems. So what I did was then I went to her house, right? And then I said, instead of you giving me a check every month, I want you to issue 12 checks. Okay? And then you just date them. You give me 12 checks and then I'll just bank in myself. So I actually went to her house. For example, like this place, right? I went to her house physically. She was in the house. And then she said that was the house. We thought that was the house, right? And she even wanted to sell me her house because we were looking for a new place to buy also. So anyway, what happened was, a couple of weeks later, as I was finding out more and more of the lies that she spun. I was in the vicinity of her house with another friend. And I was just joking. I said, hey, anyway, Evelyn's house is just behind. I said, Scully, their house is not even hers. I was just joking, I was just joking. So anyway, after eating ice cream around the area, we said, hey, let's go and just drop by her place and see if she's around. Yeah. So we walk. So I walked to her house. The house that I was in a couple of weeks ago. I walked, then I look, how come got people move in and out of the furniture, So I was looking. Then there was someone in the house, looked out and said, excuse me, can I help you? So I said, yeah, I'm looking for my friend, Evelyn. Then the guy stood at the door and said, no, she's no longer here. So I said, oh, maybe she really sold the house because she wanted to sell the house to me, ma. So I said, oh, are you the new owner? Did she sell the house to you? Then he said, no, I'm just a tenant. So I said, oh, so you're a tenant. So she's your landlord. Then he said, no. Then I said, what? Then I said, did I get the wrong house? Cannot be like I was just here. Then later he saw my dumb fuck face, right? And he said, actually, you're looking for Evelyn, right? I might have some information for you, but I'm not at the liberty to tell you. Maybe you'd like to speak to my agent. So I was like, what? So of course, he invited me in, he's a Japanese guy. Invited me in, gave me the name of the agent number. So I called the agent, right? So I called the agent. Then the agent I said, hey, I'm Dan, I'm looking for my friend Evelyn. She said, Dan? Are you the one that always hang out with her? We're looking for her also, So I was like, what happened? Then she said, I said, I thought she owned the place and she sold the place. And then what happened? Then she said, no, she was a tenant.
So renting.
She was also renting. And then she forged paperwork and stuff. Like the gyro and everything, she forged the paperwork. And then the monthly rental just never gone in, And then after that, she ran away. And then she disappeared. And they had to evict her. So she's never, ever owned the place, but she was just a tenant.
Wow.
And the thing is, I then realized that when I look back, she serially moved places every few months. So she just went on conning. And then later when I went back to all the old addresses that I know that she stayed in, everyone said the same thing. She didn't pay rent. And she will do the same thing. It's a serial entrepreneur. She's a serial con woman. She will just do that over and over again. Okay, here's where it's scary. Then as stars would align. So I already know that she doesn't stay there, right?
So was that the point you found out and you start doubting?
That was one of, oh my God, that coffin is very big, There were many nails. That was just one of the nails. Then I'm going to tell you what happened next. 2 weeks later, I had a web design job and I had a meeting in the Tricom building. Okay? And I went to the Tricom building to meet the client.
Sorry, what's the Tricom building?
It's a warehouse,
Okay.
Tricom building. It's a very big warehouse, right? So one of the, so my client was actually, she had an office in there. So I went there.
Got it.
And as I was having the conversation, then she said, she let slip that she's the daughter of the owner of the Tricom building. Okay. So then I was like, oh, so I said, so you must know Evelyn lah. I said, you must know Evelyn. Because my friend who owns the car business said that she sold the business to your dad. Okay. Evelyn has another business, which is a car sales business. Right. And she sold the business for 3-point-something million. She threw a lavish party. I went to the party. I even jumped in the pool and got wet. She celebrated. So guess what? And she said, no, my father never bought the business. Oh, I know who is Evelyn. My father never bought the business. we were in discussion, but because of the paperwork, she couldn't supply the paperwork. So we never got a deal. So the business was never sold. And I was like, holy shit. She threw a party to say that she sold the business for 3 point something million. It was a facade lah.
Right.
Okay. So anyway, because of that, we thought that maybe we were not talking about the same Evelyn. So what she did was, she said, it's the same Evelyn. She went to take the letterhead. She said, this is a company, right? So I saw the letterhead. Yes, it's a company, right? Then I scanned down. Then I see all the broken English. It's her broken English. Grammatically, she's not sound. So she wrote. Then at the end, I saw her signature. It was a different signature. She forged her signature. It's a different signature. She uses different signatures for different things. Then, that was when so then I told this client of mine what happened about the house that I went to a couple of weeks ago. I said she's no longer staying there. She's very scary. She's telling lies and things like that. So then my client said, cannot be. She moved. How can it be? Just a few days ago, I sent a check to that address and it was still cash. So she's still going to the old place that she doesn't stay. She has been evicted from and retrieving mail and cashing in. Okay, so this is just another nail on the coffin.
Right.
Okay.
Did you then brought it up to her? Or like,
No, we never...
we the music?
No, in the end, what happened was we brought the whole file to CID, made police report and everything. They said that she's a professional con woman. She deals with cash only. She doesn't carry a credit card or anything. Everything is cash. She will have $200,000 in the car glove box. That kind. She's a professional con woman. So we have all these things, but there's nothing that you can implicate her with.
Oh.
She cleaned up her paper trail very, very well. So anyway, that was what happened with the first, not really a business venture, but that was the first thing I built from scratch with a friend. So it was a business. It's not like a desk job or a cubicle job. Yeah. So of course, then because of this betrayal,
how long did it last?
Well, I was depressed for about half a year. I was angry. I was disappointed. I was very upset, and it's just a whole melting pot of emotions. Then jobless because didn't know what's happening, and at that time,
and you're still finding out. Right?
Yeah, I was still finding out. So it wasn't like, okay, business failed. I was depressed for 6 months. It was business failed. There were a lot of lies. And there were talks about, opening another spa somewhere else and stuff like that. Then, of course, SARS hit Singapore at the time. It was a bad time to reopen a spa. So she went on and said, okay, I don't want to do this anymore already. But for me, I quit my Haw Par Villa job to join her and things like that. So I had a lot of soul searching to do. I was angry. I was nursing a broken heart and things like that. So I was really not myself. But what I knew was I didn't want to go back to the corporate world. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. I only know that I didn't want to go back to the corporate world. So that took a long time. Then became very poor, no money. Have nothing, like rock bottom.
Right, because it's a downward spiral, right?
Yes, it was bad. And then until my other half decided that, stop moping around, you're so depressed, this place is bad for you. Let me extract you out and let's get away. So we went to Bali for a short holiday.
How do you feel when you're in the depression?
Wow. I felt... Okay, so there are a few things that I really hate to feel, okay? 2 things. One is indifference, okay? Meaning I don't feel anything. There's no love, there's no hate, I feel nothing. So the feeling nothing is something that I don't like, okay? But at that point in time, I was disappointed, I was angry, so that's not something that I felt, okay? So I wasn't indifferent, okay? But I was very uninspired. So I think I was just consumed by all these very negative emotions. I wasn't in my creative space, and I'm a creative soul. So when I'm not inspired or I don't feel any creativity in me, I feel like I was very out of my own skin. I felt like I was different. I was a different person. I didn't even know myself. I felt very not Daniel. I'm Daniel. I didn't know who I was. And I just felt so out of sync. And just every molecule and cell in my body is just out of sync. But I didn't know what else to do. I have no solutions. I didn't know what else to do, what else to explore. So I just had to write it out. And I did write it out when I was in Bali. I found myself. I was so quiet for the half a year. I really didn't talk much. Wow. But in Bali, I remember maybe it was the 3rd day or something. I went to have breakfast. The hotels will have their morning breakfast, right? So had breakfast. And that was when I found myself and I started talking. Oh. And I decided that, oh my God, I know what I want to do already. I decided that I wanted to do web design. That's something that I was already doing on the side, pro bono and free for people.
And you know how to do it?
I know how to do it. It was a passion because it was so new. And no one's paying me money for it yet, but because I had so much passion, I was just anybody who needed a website, I said, hey, I do for you. Right. So I already had a ready portfolio. I know what I was doing. It was so new. There was demand. It was growing industry. So it's just kind of tick all the boxes. And I felt like, oh my God, this is something that if I do, there is almost no competition, right? Maybe it's just the education piece. I have to educate people the pros of having a website, right? People didn't know what it was, right? I mean, at that point in time, even a fanciful name card was too much. What is a website? So then I was like, I think the final question I asked myself was, is this something that I would do and enjoy even if there was no money, right? And then the responsible question I asked myself was, okay, what was the last drawn pay that I had when I was in a cubicle? And I was drawing 3,005. Right? And I asked myself, okay, if I give myself 2 years, I am able to work hard. I have 4 limbs, can you make 3,005 on average by the end of 24 months? So I think can lah, not so difficult, right? So I started and then I told myself, if I cannot make it, then I'll go back to the cubicle. But I gave myself that chance. And then I never looked back lah.
So I'm curious to know, what do you learn from that first business experience? What nuggets did you got out of that?
Okay, very simple. You don't have to have a certification in anything to start a business. You don't have to be like an expert, right? Because a lot of it is learning on the job, right? And also, I think nobody really cares about whether you have a certificate or not. As long as they look at your work and it's good and it solves a pain point, you are really providing value, then people will hire you, right? And I also learned that in the beginning, when you're starting a business, it is tough. There is no such thing as automation or sales funnel or formula or anything. It's all about manual work. So how I got my first client was, I'm going to tell you this. It's a very touching story and I still hold him so close to my heart. Oh, sorry, my mic. So what I did, this was in the years, the era of Yellow Pages. Okay, no internet yet. I was going to be part of the internet, right? So Yellow Pages. So I went through Yellow Pages. So I looked at all the advertisements. Then I just cold call lah. I cold call. Most of the calls went flat because nobody knew what a website was. Nobody had time for you to listen to you explain. But there was this uncle. He owns an aircon company. So I pick up the phone. Doesn't speak English. So I had to speak to him in Chinese. Thank goodness my Chinese is good. Yeah. So I spoke to him and I tried to explain and he was very patient and so sweet. And he listened to me. He said, 什么是 website? So I thought, uncle, 那个 website 就是网际网络，就好像是一个名片，然后
What a great way to explain.
Yeah, 就好像一个名片。然后我说这个呢，就是说你在网上的话，就是任何人都可以通过网际网络看到你这个名片。然后你可以跟大家讲说你的服务是什么。你的价钱是什么？然后人家也可以 contact 你。我说好像我现在用 Yellow Pages 找你，对不对？这个就好像是 Yellow Pages， but 它不是在纸上，它是在网上。所以我就这样跟他解释。So I explained to him, he still catch no ball okay? Catch no ball. But then he said this. He said, 哎呀，小弟啊，你讲这么多 ，uncle 就是不懂了哈 ，uncle 只会修理 aircon。不过 uncle 知道说自己出来做生意很辛苦。所以uncle 就支持你咯 uncle 想支持你，你帮 uncle 做啦，这样多少钱啊？ Okay, pricing. A lot of newbie entrepreneurs don't know how to price Talk about money also so difficult. Right. And here's the funny thing, when you're an entrepreneur, usually you do something you're very passionate about. When you're passionate, it comes so easy to you, right? You're almost like enjoying it while you're doing the work, right? Yeah. And it almost feels like a sin to charge someone for something that you're enjoying, Yeah. So it's so difficult to ask for money, Yeah. And I'm so gao and awkward. Then I never really thought about how to charge also. So what I did was I checked in with my intuition and I decided, I wasn't prepared for someone to say yes because all the calls just went flat. So suddenly this uncle said, yeah, can. Then suddenly I was caught off guard. I don't know how much to charge. Then I just said, uncle, 你不要管多少钱，我先做给你，可能你不喜欢。
Right, so you do it first.
所以我说我先做，如果做了过后你看，然后你觉得说这个东西值多少钱，你要还我多少钱都可以。
Right.
So it was basically like a donation box. You pay me as you wish.
Right.
Pay as you can.
See the product first?
Yeah.
And then...
And that felt so good to me. And that gave me a lot of hope because I was like, for once someone is willing to pay me something, it doesn't matter how much already. This is already a very big step from when I was just doing pro bono work.
Right.
It's such a big step. And so what I did was, I didn't care how much I was going to get paid, right? I just did everything I knew about websites, right? I just dumped in, like over the top, did the most kick-ass job I could do.
Right.
Didn't care how much I was going to be paid. Put everything I knew inside. Did a very nice website for him. Unfortunately, it's no longer online. But I did such a nice website for him that I gave it to him, right? And then I said, Uncle, you can't. He also don't know how to go online and stuff like that. Finally saw it, also don't know how, I don't understand. But here's what's so touching, right? Like someone who, it doesn't matter whether the person appreciate the piece of work they have done or not. What he appreciated was his own support for you, for another young entrepreneur who was starting out. I'm having a goosebumps thinking about this right now. I think the uncle gave me a big break. I mean, he decided to pay $500. And I don't know. I mean, I think of that $500. Even now, every time things goes a bit pear-shaped or difficult for me, I just think of the $500. I'm just very sad that I didn't frame up $500 because I really needed the money then. So I didn't have time to just frame up. I mean, I didn't have opportunity to frame up, but
And there was months of...
Yes, and I felt like this was someone who, it was validation in the best possible way. And I felt like, oh my God, this is value exchange. And I felt like this is it. If I can do this once, I can do this a second time. I can do this a third time. And it's just rinse and repeat. And just as I've been touched by very amazing teachers in my life, because I've been touched by someone like the aircon uncle, I make it a point to, this is what I do now. I encourage people to pursue their passion and to start their own businesses. Hell, is a lot of work, it's difficult, but there are people who believe in you and you will get there, And look at where I am now. I'm not earning super big bucks, but I am well provided for. I'm happy. I don't have to worry about my bills. And really it all started from that one job and that someone believing in me, and that was very big validation. And then of course, after that totally changed my mindset. It just went on to oh my God, I can so do this now. And then one job led to another. And it's the same thing, providing good value, gaining mastery, really servicing people. And of course, I went through a lot of pain of working with the bad clients, because when you're a beggar, you cannot be a chooser. You take any old job that comes in, right? You cannot discern because you need the money. So of course, you end up working in the beginning really just for the money. You don't have a choice. And sometimes you end up meeting very bad clients who are not aligned with your values, or they abuse you, they don't appreciate your work. But these days, now I really say no. I do discovery calls now. So it's I want to see if we're even a good match. Do I even want to take on your job? Because certain jobs are very toxic. Even if it pays well, no, you got to step away from it.
Are there any stories of bad clients, for people to hear about? And
Of course, there's so many.
Signs of...
Or you can smell them from afar.
Well, I think the smell is a train.
Yeah, it's an acumen, because I've been burned so many times right now. I'm like, wow, cannot I got already, cannot,
Or charge more for the medical bills, right?
Yeah. You see, the thing is, well, I'm of course I must say that when you are a beggar, you cannot choose. So I'm not saying that, integrity and everything, then you are starving already. Use your brain now, okay? Sometimes you got to suffer for some things, okay? But let's say you're okay now, okay? Don't be very discerning on the jobs that you take on, because sometimes I've taken on jobs that's, in the beginning, we all thought that it was just going to be a 3-month project or maybe a 6-month project. And the money was really good for a 3 or 6-month project. Except it just went on and on and on and on. It became like a 16, 18-month project. Wow. And when you divide the revenue, it's pittance, right? And you just can't sign off. And the thing is, in the corporate world, what happens is like a revolving door. People come and go. So if the person who commissioned the project and worked with you sway leave just before you're going to deliver, it has happened before also. I've done jobs for big companies whereby at the delivery meeting, when we're delivering the product, a new head comes in and just tears everything apart. On the day you are supposed to hand over the project.
Right.
All the work is done with the previous team.
And I guess the team wasn't nice enough.
No, everybody quiet because new boss. Don't dare to ruffle the feathers. Don't dare to speak up. Like, you know? So then, guess what? Back to the drawing board. And everybody, any person who comes in a new big position, has a new big job title.
New ideas.
New ideas. Of course. I'm here to change things. What is this? What is this? What are y'all doing? What the heck are y'all doing? Yeah. Okay? So don't care about my time and the effort. No respect. Yeah. Back to the drawing board. So that's what I mean by those kind of jobs, right? Mm-hmm. So I steer clear away. And of course, sometimes when you speak to certain clients, you know, you can sense the vibes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, whether they're toxic or not. So if you feel that this person is not good, or like very boastful, or like to drop names all the time, or when they talk about other people that work with, they sound very disrespectful. So they think that they're sharing intel with you, but when they're saying something, they're speaking ill of other people. So you know that this is...
That's such a good one, because it's about them giving you insider information, but then they might also be talking bad about you.
Yeah, because the trust, right? He thinks that because he's trying to create material and meat for connection, right? Yeah. So you badmouth people, you bitch. I mean, that's what we do. Like as friends, sometimes we hang out, we gossip. We have a common enemy, so we feel very close. But this kind of closeness is false closeness, right? And then basically you think you're building trust, like, hey, I tell you a secret, you know the person's secret, right? Then you feel like, wow, we're very buddy, right? But actually not. What you're telling me is I can't trust you.
No, and what it is that you would feel that.
Of course.
And it's normal that everyone feels closer to the person.
If you're a mindful person, if you're not mindful person, actually you get sucked into that and you become a person like that also.
Yeah.
Right? You also do the gossip mongering, right? But if you're mindful when someone is doing that, you immediately go like, oh my God, you know, why are you talking about the person like that? That's not your information to share. Where do you draw the line? Right? You have no boundaries, right? And you might think that we are connecting because you're sharing information that's not privy to me. But then I will be very wary of someone like you.
Oh, and then the worst
part is when they say, hey, I share with you, but you can't tell anyone. I was like, oh wow, thank you for giving me the job of...
Correct.
Of
they want to make you special.
Right.
Make you special. You see, that's what they're trying to do, to build a connection. But that's a very poor way.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
I talk non-stop, you know, you got to stop me, you know, because I talk non-stop on there.
No, that's good.
Good information. and so let's talk a little bit about the growth of Magic Mushroom, right?
Okay.
After the first $500, how does your next field project looks like? And is it what is the sales is it still Yellow Pages? And how did it evolve, I guess?
Well, I think my business really evolved with the trajectory of internet. Right? When I first started, it was in the days of Lycos, Excite, Netscape, GeoCities. There was no Friendster, no MySpace. There was no Facebook. There was none of that sort. When I first started, it was dial-up, that kind, you know? Okay, that was the era. And then even attaching a photograph to an email was like, wow, explosion kind of achievement. Right. So you must understand that I started I'm the granddaddy, like... at that time. Okay, so but the technology and the programming language just keeps evolving so quickly, you know. Then you have to really get with the times. And it moves so fast. So in the beginning, I was really doing the design work myself because I was a one-man bandwagon. And programming, I had to learn coding HTML. Then of course we went into DHTML. Then we went into CSS, and then we went into like server-side scripts and things like that. And then I couldn't catch up. I couldn't keep up. I just oh my God, you know. Then, of course, what happened was, the jobs just got bigger and bigger. I mean, I work with companies like Seagate, like Association of Banks of Singapore, Singapore Airlines, you know, things like that. I work with bigger and bigger companies. I think I was very lucky as in there were few people doing it. So there was not a lot of competition.
So timing was good.
Timing was good. And I've always been like that with all the businesses that I've done. I'm always good at spotting micro trends. And I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not doing it for the money because it's a trend and I want to make money. No. Somehow, my passion and the things I want to do fall in line with something that's just slightly ahead of it becomes like it hits jackpot. So that by the time it becomes mainstream, I'm already all set and established and I become the one of the main providers, and people come to me. I'm a solution provider. So it's the same with my panoramic imaging thing. It was way before Google Panoramas and stuff like that. So when people wanted something like that, they come to us. It was the easy sell, right? So the product was there. So to answer your question, the jobs just got bigger and bigger. So what happened was, for me to do those jobs, I had to start just roping other people in because I didn't have the expertise. Like, for example, if a client come in, like my work, and say, hey, I want an e-commerce store right now. Can you do that? I say, hey, 我没有做过, I don't know, Then they say, but can you help me, Can you go and find that? I will be very transparent and say, I haven't done it before, but I think I'll go and source around and I'll help you. If I cannot do, I'll let you know. And then the e-commerce bit, maybe you get someone else, or you find another totally different vendor, it's fine, right? But what I'll do is then, because there's a need, you go and find, and then you find somebody, then you go back to the client and say, okay, I found these people, they're very good, this is what they've done, they're willing to work with me, would you like to give us this job? Yes. Then you do, lor. So it's very organic, it never feels forced. And whenever there's an opportunity, you evaluate it. If the conditions are right, you can find the right resources, you go ahead and do a kick-ass job, that you will elevate you. Then now you become someone who can do an e-commerce side. Then it just goes on. And then also, then I start to remove myself from the actual creative work. So I run the business now, I service clients, I go out pitching, do sales, do the money.
So very natural progression.
Very, very natural. It wasn't like, I want to hire a crew of 10 people, now I'm a web development company. It's not. I've not borrowed a single cent. I've never borrowed a single cent. It was always my own money. It's organic. And any growth was very natural, unforced. But of course, it's just a combination of acumen and also being in the right place at the right time. Sometimes everything falls so nicely that I feel like I've got nothing to do with it. It's just luck. But I've learned to give myself a little bit more credit, that maybe it comes so easy. It doesn't mean that you didn't lift a finger. It's just second nature to you then to know what business to pitch for and things like that,
Is it true that you know that when you hire people?
Yes, I do.
Because it's the same for me.
Yeah, I've only hired in my whole, now 20, almost more than 15 years of entrepreneurship, I've only hired 2 people badly. But it was bad. When I mean badly, it wasn't like super bad. It was just, it didn't turn out. That means these people are still not with me. But most of my guys are with me after 10 years. They're still with me. So my friends always ask me, Dan, how come you got this spider sense? I say it's not a spider sense. It's the bunny sense. It's the rabbit. You know, the nose, the bunny likes to do the nose thing. I can feel. And I invest a lot of time in personal relationships. So people always say, how come you can find the right people? I say, well, that's because when the opportunity comes, I know exactly who to hire. So I don't say...
You're always hiring.
I'm always hiring. I'm always talking to people. Like, for example, now we're building a relationship, right? And camaraderie and stuff like that. We might not have anything to do together other than this interview right now, right? But, we're constantly building something, and it's all these micro evaluations and stuff. As I get to know you, your skill sets and your strengths, your weaknesses, and most importantly, your aptitude, your personality, your character traits. It's almost like an ongoing interview. Business interview, right? Job interview. And then whenever, like for example, if in the future there's an opening, or another friend has an opening or whatever and wants to look for the exact person, I know who to 介绍. And when I 介绍, it is good one.
Right.
People know.
And it actually also increases, it is a win-win.
For your friend and for the person who you got.
Of course. And I think this win-win thing, we can talk about it later, is so important. I think how can we all win together? That is the conversation I want to talk about. Yeah.
Let's continue on the story. But before we do that, I also kind of want to point out that you also have the website for National Heritage Board, and also all the way to the Prime Minister office.
Yeah, we've done work for them.
Okay. I'm curious to know, when did Magic Mushroom got turned into Studio MDS, and why?
Wow. Okay. So Studio MDS was the studio that I set up with my American business partner Matt. Many years ago now, and that was we focused on panoramic imaging, the 360 virtual tours, right? So it was a separate entity. How I found him was, again, a miracle World Wide Web, right? I was reading maybe TechCrunch, or I don't know, I can't remember what it was. A tech blog. I was reading a post, so I was scrolling through all the comments, And there was this guy's comment that just jumped out at me, and it was Matt's. Okay? I can't remember what he wrote, but it was just the energy that was just popping out of the sea of comments. Somehow this guy felt like he was bright, smart, brilliant, and really nice. So I felt very drawn to this person's comment. So I clicked on the name, went to his website, sleuthed on all the things he was doing, and I saw that he was trying to experiment with the Panorama platform, which I was like, oh my God, my mind was blown. I was like, okay, I have seen those small QuickTime VTR stuff, but I've never seen this is so huge and the quality is amazing and it works like butter. It's got beautiful interface and everything. So what I did, me being me, so excited, right? Email, reach out. Oh my God, I love it. I love it. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you know? And then immediately I can envision all the things I could do with and apply. And I said, oh my God, you know, we could do this, we could do that. I said, so sorry for this very abrupt, obtrusive guy. You know, I'm from Singapore, whatever. Of course, he was very taken aback, but of course also very intrigued by who is this guy.
Right.
And we got talking, and then he told me he didn't feel the platform was ready. Then I said, no, I think it's ready. And I said, I think, yes, it's ready from the way I see it. And I said, I'm not assessing it as a newbie. I'm in this industry. Yep. And I tell you, we can sell. And I can sell so well for you because I believe in the product. And when I'm already a very good salesman. But when I believe in your product, I can sell even better. And the thing is, I only sell things that I believe in.
Right.
Okay? So I said, I don't know where you are. He's actually in Georgia, Atlanta. Right. So I said, but in Singapore, we are so ripe for this platform because we are all about real estate. Yeah. We have showrooms, show flats, right? And then we have tourism, you know, we have hospitality. And I can think of all these applications for like Capella. We did a big job with Capella as well. We did all the suites and rooms and stuff. And that was such an easy sell. So then what we did was we decided to work together. We set up MDS, retained the name. His name is Matt Daniel Smith, right? MDS. So his middle name is my name.
Easy.
So we kept Matt. So MDS we kept, right? Except for the Singapore one is Matt Daniel Singapore. And then we kind of customized the logo a little bit. Yeah. So then we had a really good run for about 3 to 4 years.
Wow.
Worked with Mr. Kwek Ling Ju for CDL. He became my mentor before he passed away.
So CDL is?
CDL, the real estate developer. You know, all the buildings and shopping malls. CDL, like Far East Organization, CDL. Yeah. So Mr. Kwek, and I also pitched to him in a meeting of like more than 10 over different directors and stuff. And it was a really interesting conversation with him. He was totally sold. I just showed him a 3-minute presentation. Then he said, right after the presentation, he said, okay, then I'm sold, we're sold. Let's not talk about this anymore. I'm interested about your life. How do you get here? So it ended up like an interview like today, like that, you know.
Right.
And then anyway, he decided to take me under his wing, and then we had Kopio sessions, and I learned a lot from him before he passed away.
Wow.
So we work with people like that. Yeah. And we were very fearless in the way we went about because I believed in the product. And I just had to educate. Again, it's the education piece. Just like when I first started with website, I have to educate people. Okay, this is like website is like a name card on steroids. So now when I sold the panoramas, it's like, okay, let's just do away with those dingy JPEGs. Okay, let's do something that's more interactive, immersive, and what you see is what you get. And people get a really good idea of the space. You know, I said, I can sell your place better.
It's a great market too.
Yeah, it's great. So what we did was, my approach was very simple. I was like, oh my God, I keep touching the mic. My approach was very simple. I said, in the beginning, what we did was we did a lot of cold emails out. But we realized that by the time it reached the middle management, it disappeared. Nobody replied. Yeah. Because all these middle management people feel that this is more work. They don't want to touch. They just go back to try and tested ways of like JPEG photo, upload like that, you know. Then I was like, let's think of how can we get this. I said the product is really good. I just need to talk to the right person. I just need to talk to the decision maker. So we decided, let's focus all our ammo on trying to get to the decision makers. Yeah. But because of that, it's going to take a lot of time. Let's be very, very focused. So we said, let's look at all the different industries that we want to work with. The government sector, okay, real estate, hospitality, tourism, okay? Then I said, let's earmark each industry, top 3 people we want to work with. Okay, Singapore Flyer, okay, maybe hospitality, Capella, property, Far East Organization, CDL, okay? Then government, okay, National Heritage Board or whatever, you know? So then we focus our ammo, then we just do a pitch, then of course they're like, wow, yeah, okay, that's it. The head say yes, of course everybody say yes, ma.
And I want to just underscore how smart it is because once you get the top guys to use it, then everyone follows.
Exactly. So we say who are the market leaders, They set the trend. Everybody follows suit. Then people start calling us already, want to franchise us. Even China, people want to franchise our technology. So I went into that before my meltdown. I was like pitching, talking to investors. So again, Studio MBS started because of something that was so organic as reading a comment from a tech blog. And me taking the interest in math and reaching out and saying, hey, I think there's an opportunity. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite failure?
Yes, my meltdown.
All right, why don't we go?
That is my favorite. And it's a failure, but it's also a success. Like, okay, oh my god, so much to unpack. Okay, so can I start talking about I'm so excited.
That's most excited failure.
Oh my god, because there's a punchline at the end of it. Remind me to remind people about punchline. Okay. So 6 years ago,
all this is going really well.
Going very well. Studio MBS at the peak, investors pitching, people want to put in money, people want to franchise, whatever. We had so many options. That was 2012. Okay. And I had a meltdown. Okay. And the meltdown, really, I was not prepared for it. I didn't know it was coming. There was signs, didn't pay attention to it. Okay. So what happened was I had my meltdown when I was in New York. I was not there for work, although I planned to have some meetings with some people there. It was there mainly for leisure. I was there to watch Madonna. I think it was the MDNA concert in the Yankee Stadium with a few close friends who were overseas, and then we were supposed to meet in New York and have a good time. So we planned this trip for a very long time already. It was supposed to be an epic New York trip. It has to be epic, right? I mean, the flight is so bloody long, right? So then I also planned to, after New York, to spend another 2 weeks in Vancouver, see a couple of friends, and also I lined up even more meetings. But I didn't survive more than a few days in New York, and then I had the meltdown. Okay. Before the New York trip, I was very, very busy. And because I didn't take care of, I didn't practice a lot of self-care before my meltdown, and I was just running myself to the ground. I kept working very hard. You know, a workaholic, right? Perfectionist, right? Overachiever, right? I kept driving myself. I had so many things, right? Multi-passionate, right? Do. And then at the same time, I was going older and older and older. I was growing older. But I was driving myself like I was a fresh 21-year-old, just came out of army like that, you know, can chong. So my energy level was very different, but I was still running my life as if I was like a fresh, tip-top condition engine, you know, but not. So what happened was I started to fall sick very, very often. Every 2 to 3 months, somebody sneeze around me, only I would kena one. So my immunity was very, very low. Right? So I get sick very often. Just before the New York trip, I was sick. But I didn't take care of myself, continued to do pitching session, meet angel investors, blah, blah, right? All the way until before I left for New York, the flight, I went to see a doctor, except the doctor said, I don't think you should go on your trip. You are very sick. I don't think you should fly. I said, cannot. This whole thing planned 1 year already. I have to allow my ass there. I'm okay. Just give me like strongest meds, knock me out, okay? So doctor said, you sure, huh? So I said, yeah. I said, okay, you know, I can sleep. So then gave me a bag full of drugs. I went up, took my drugs, and then asked the stewardess to lay my bed, and then I slept, I knocked out, okay? Except that the drugs actually had an adverse effect on me. I didn't know. When I reached New York, everything was monochromatic, like black and white. I didn't know. It just looked like colorless and dull. But also I was very drugged up and I was very sick. So I didn't pay too much attention. And then there was just a series of, from mini to mid-sized waves of anxiety, panic attacks. Even when I was in a taxi, the yellow cab, riding from the airport to the hotel, I felt overcome by anxiety because I thought the driver, who was this big, burly black driver, would mob me or rob me or like, you know, kidnap me. I don't know why. I was just scared of so many things. Then I looked out the window. I was like, since when did New York become so grey and dark? And like, how come like Gotham City like that? Right. You know? Anyway, reached the hotel, panic attack again because didn't see my friends. Then except my friends were already in Times Square, waiting for me. So then my friend said, hey, come join us for dinner, you know, put your bags, come join us. Should be very fun, right? I got panic attack. I didn't know how to go to Times Square. So I had to ask them, I was like a baby like that. I had to ask them for directions and they had to be very detailed. And they were very detailed and I still didn't know how to navigate my way there. Eventually I got there. My friend looked at me and said, hey, are you alright or not? So outwardly, I already didn't look alright, no. enough for my friends to ask me, are you alright? Huh? I said, yeah, no, I'm sick. I said, I'm sick. Except then also, I couldn't enjoy my dinner that night because once I touched down in New York, all the calls kept coming in, my messages, WhatsApp, my ping, 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 ping. And then we had a server meltdown and I was like, fuck. So anxiety attack again at Starbucks. Okay. Then, cut the long story short, anxiety attack. Big and small. Went to the Yankee Stadium to watch Madonna. Didn't watch. Madonna, very high impact, right? I slept through the whole concert. This was how sick I was, right? And so out, like I'm just out. And then after that, I had an episode in the hotel room. I was so sick, I decided not to go out with my friends. So I said, yeah, you all go out. I'm just going to rest, right? Never eat, 空肚子, keep taking meds, right? So I don't know what happened. It's just a combination of all the factors. I was on bed, in the bed. I was very harassed by this air conditioner. That's like, it's a cheap hotel lah. So they stuck the aircon unit into the window panel kind. That is very loud cock. Then it went. I was very harassed by that. So I looked at it, and then I walked up to it, right? And then I caught myself thinking that I was going to push. I was just going to push the whole bloody aircon down. And then I told myself, I'm going to jump down. I'm going to jump down. I'm going to jump down with it. So when I thought that, right, and I felt my body being carried and doing the motion, I freaked out. I was like, so it was just a sliver of mindfulness, and that's why we have to practice meditation, because meditation acts on that sliver of a microsecond that could impact your decision.
A pattern interrupt.
Yes. So I had that mindfulness to watch my horrible, don't know what I was doing, thinking, and then go, oh my God, something is very wrong. Bearing in mind, I had a series of anxiety attacks already, so I was watching myself, and I was like, what the fuck is happening, right? So I was like, that was when I told myself, I need help. So I picked up my handphone. I look at my handphone, I want to call for help, right? I didn't know how to unlock it. I was so overcome by anxiety, I didn't know how to unlock it. So it was just flashing, unlock. I didn't even know how to do the swipe. So I was like, what? You know? Then I thought, okay, analog phone. See, got analog phone here. So I was like, analog phone, I can do this, right? And, oh, sorry, the mic. Then I took up the hotel phone and then I look at the buttons. I didn't know what to press. It all looked like 10,000 buttons to me. Like I was so overwhelmed even by a simple thing like that.
Right.
So I know that I think something is very wrong with me already. So I was very scared. So I went back to the bed. Then my laptop was there. And then luckily my laptop was configured such that when I open it, it gets connected automatically to FaceTime. Right. So I did that and I got connected. And then my friend pinged me and I accepted the call for some reason. And that was when I spoke to my friend and I begged him to get me back home to Singapore.
Wow.
So I begged and begged. And what they did was, then they realized that I was very sick and I wanted to go home. Managed to get an air ticket for me out a few days later. So you think the episode ended there, right? But it didn't. I didn't last that few days for that flight. The next day, I felt like I was good enough. I went out with my friends and we went out to Guggenheim Museum. And then when we were at Guggenheim Museum, I was fine. Except that physically I was drained because it was a long walk from the hotel to Guggenheim Museum. I remember I was still going down Guggenheim Museum, walking down, and then we went into a side exhibition in a room. Then in the side exhibition room, there was another room where they were showing a noir film. My friends went into that room, I didn't. I stayed in the main hall, looking at the things on the wall. And that was when I started to feel very unwell. I felt like I was in a vortex. Like, oh my God. Then it started spinning. And then I blacked out.
Wow.
Then that was it. Then after that, I was packed back to Singapore on an emergency flight. My friend just had to get that ticket to fly me back. What my friend said was that they felt like when they observed me, it wasn't a blackout. I went hysterical. And that they thought I was possessed. And I threw up. I threw up in Guggenheim Museum.
You don't know.
Yeah, I threw up and I was like hysterical and I was asking for help and I ran into the projection room and I kept saying, 我要回家, 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 我要回家. And they said that it doesn't matter what they say to me, or what question they asked me, the only response I gave was 我要回家,我要回家,我要回家. And they said I did it like I was chanting 我要回家,我要回家, and I did it non-stop.
Wow.
So they thought I was possessed, right? Anyway, came back to Singapore, saw a doctor, be on medication, see psychotherapists 3 times a week. I was on a recovery program for half a year. I was out of action. So the medical diagnosis was I had mind-body dissociation. So my mind separated from my body because my mind decided to do that for me. Because if I don't stop, it's going to fry, even the brain is going to get fried. Then the doctor said the reason why I kept saying 我要回家,我要回家,我要回家 was because that was the only message that the brain chose to focus on that will give you comfort and safety.
Wow.
Yeah. Is it? Got to change card. Yeah. Can we continue? Yeah. So that was the only thing that was in my mind that would bring me back to safety. And to me, home is comfort. So he likened my condition to a computer in sleep mode. So technically, it's still on, but it could not do anything. It was in sleep mode. So my mind decided to power everything down, like just to save you. Then it kicks in the mechanism. So I was on medication, saw a psychologist, had psychotherapy session 3 times a week, and that was when I started my self-discovery journey. I spent a lot of time excavating my patterns and behavior, what led to my meltdown, and we had to unpack a lot of the invisible scripts, why I drive myself so hard, why is it that I don't take care of myself, why is it that I always want to take care of people around me, why I give, why I never say no, why I have no boundaries, why I never acknowledge my achievements, why it is never enough. So you see how all this is tied back to my childhood conditioning. And so to answer your question, that was my biggest failure. But that is such an amazing event because it has almost led to a new phase and a new season in my life as a result of that. Like I had to do this whole... You see, I had to have a breakdown in order to have a breakthrough, right? And it was a pattern disruption, and it had to happen that big, right? Such a big thing that I have no choice, and I had to surrender, because my situation was very bad. I felt like I wasn't very coherent at that time. My mind, body, I would be so anxious that I couldn't control my peeing. I would wet my bed. So very jialat, And so it was a case of, I thought, okay, this is it, lor. You work so hard then for everything, and then now you cannot even control your peeing.
Wow.
So I had no choice but to surrender and to really take this very seriously already. And I've been like, oh my God, this is what they say burnout, what they call burnout. And you can burn out like that.
Yeah.
And for people, I guess if you were to go back to your younger self back then, like what would you tell this person on, how maybe is there some telltale signs? What are some of the telltale signs if they're listening, to maybe check it out, to investigate it a little bit more?
Okay.
Before a huge...
I think prevention is better than cure. So I always tell when I'm like speaking to the varsity students or the poly students, I always tell them like, I don't want to come across as very preachy. Like when I'm going through my slides and I say, you should do this, you should do that, should. Very preachy, right? And sometimes they can get it, sometimes they can't. Because I think there are certain lessons that you have to go and long piasi, then you will feel it.
Right.
It's like almost you need to be scalded by hot water, then you will learn not to touch the kettle again, right? But then of course I tell them, but if you can live, and we can try and you can live through my mistakes and my failure, and if there's a way for me to express to you how you can try and avoid that if possible, then let's try and do that. And I think that's the whole point, objective of your question.
Yes.
So the telltale signs were, just to tell you what were the signs that I saw and I ignored it. I had hives all the time.
Okay.
I break out in hives. And it all started when I was studying in Japan. I had I gave myself like my own gap year because I had all the money and stuff. And I thought, let me do the things that I want to pursue. So I went to Japan and I took up the Japanese language. But it was also at a time where I started to have this skin condition, it's urticaria. So I will break out in hives. And if I scratch, right, for example, I scratch myself like that, the hive will come out that way. If I scratch zigzag, it will come out this way. If I take a pen and write my name, the rash will come out in my name. Wow. Okay, so it's like kind of rash. And sometimes I have the whole back, all the way to my butt. It will just scratch. And then the whole idea is that when you have urticaria, don't scratch.
Right.
It will make it worse. Yeah, when you have an itch and you don't scratch. And you know I love scratching my itches, right? So yeah, so that's that. Also, before I left for New York, I realized that when there were a few occasions when I got into the car, when I sat down, I had this like very severe like heart seizure, not seizure, but this like congestion. It almost feels like a congestion, and it's like a knot, and it goes like, and it feels like a burn, and it's very acidic. And for about maybe 7 or 8 seconds, you feel like you can't move, and you have to hold your breath. And after that, it relaxes. Wow. So these were physical manifestations of, I was not healthy. And then, of course, every 2 months, fall sick. Like, walao, what's wrong with you? Right? People sneeze on you, you get it. You take a plane on you get it. Right. Cabin air is very bad for me at that time. I will always fall sick when I travel. So that's that. Also not having enough sleep all the time. My relationship with sleep has been recalibrated after my meltdown. Pre-meltdown, I felt like sleep was for losers. Sleep was a waste of time. I have no enjoyment in sleep. I'm not interested in sleep whatsoever. I was so excited in my awake hours because I have so many goddamn things I wanted to do, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to start my day. So I felt like sleep was a waste of time. And before my meltdown, I was clocking 3 hours. Sometimes I don't sleep for 3 days. I'm like that, no, this is how scary I drive myself. After meltdown now, I have to clock 7, 8. I sleep. I treat it like it's my temple. Right. When people, I coach, tell me that they've got problems, I always say, first question, are you having enough sleep? Yeah. That's my first question. If not, please do that. That's your first level of medication. Yeah. So sleep is also very important.
Got it.
You mentioned about the 6 months of psychotherapy session, right?
Yes.
I think there's a lot of stigma around psychotherapy.
Yes.
Maybe we can start off by like, what are some of the misconceptions you had from psychotherapy before, and what is it actually like?
I had misconceptions, and it's very common with everybody. Like, you must be 神经病, and you go like 神经. The word 神经病 just sounds so strange. It's not 神经病. It's just that you are, you're in a state. You're in a state, you need help, that's it. You're in a funk. Okay, can we rephrase it? You're not 神经病. But of course, there are certain medical conditions. Mine was medical, but it wasn't like inherent. It was more like brought by external circumstances and the way that I've been not taking care of myself. It led to a meltdown. So I also felt that it's very clinical. I felt that it was very clinical, meaning that it's without emotions, it's cold. Maybe no empathy, or may treat you like a patient, like you're sick. I don't know. And also like, to even go there, you must be really like helpless, or that you are defeated, you are a failure. You are spoiled goods. And also it's very embarrassing that to tell people that you have got a condition and you're seeing a shrink or whatever, you're getting mental help. Okay, so those are my preconceptions. I think it's no different from most the preconceptions. But the thing is, it doesn't matter what preconceptions I have because I needed help. Full stop. I had no choice. And this psychotherapist I went to, I call her Kay. She's called Corinne. She is really godsend. She's my guardian angel, I tell you. She's such a gorgeous human being. And she's made such a big impact and difference in my life. It's nothing like that. It's not clinical. It was full of love and empathy. It was so friendly. It was so welcoming. It was so comforting. It feels like my ama all over again. Okay, it felt like that. I felt like it was very fun. I felt like it was just, I did 3 times a week, right? So in the beginning, okay, bear in mind, I am not an easy patient. I question. Okay, I would like to think that I'm very critical about a lot of things, right? Discerning. So when she dispenses a particular exercise or something for me to do, I will ask I'll question the logic, the reason, the objective, why this looks so woo-woo, this looks so like, I want to like roll my eyes at it. I literally want to roll my eyes at this. Like ask stupid questions lah. Then I'm like, what's the point of all this? I'm unwell, I'm impatient, I want to get well and things like that. So wow, it's just a master class in how to human. I think how to really be patient with myself, how to take care of myself, how to be comfortable with myself, and how to confront a lot of my invisible scripts and my demons in me.
Can I just interrupt you there?
Yes, sure.
Because I think you wouldn't be, I would be pretty similar to you if I were to go into a psychotherapy session. Is there any way that person could tell you ahead of time certain couple of things to make you more at ease? If you were to be the psychotherapist, say for example now that you are done, like what would you have done differently as the psychotherapy for your yourself before?
I wouldn't change anything.
Okay.
I wouldn't change anything. I feel that the approach that Corinne led me through really worked for me. I really believe in it. That's why I'm coaching other people right now, because I've been through hell and I've come back alive. And also, in a way, you were asking me about, is there any way we can prevent other people from having a breakdown in order to get a breakthrough, right? We can try and preempt people. But also, I feel there's a lot of beauty and power in going through something like this. So much so that maybe I wouldn't even advise people to shun it or avoid it. Maybe I'll be like, it's earning your stripe. I don't know. It's like, really, I see that you're going to long bia, right? Should I? Now I have a choice to say whether I want to stop you and interrupt and say, don't go and long bia.
As a coach.
As a coach. Or I say, maybe just let him go long bia or her go and long bia.
Right.
Because there's a lot of beauty in that. Maybe can learn faster. and if you really own that lesson, instead of me telling you, and it's just cerebral, but if it really hurts, it's different when you experience the lesson as opposed to being taught or told the lesson. The learning, the depth in the learning is so different. So really, this going back, I think the punchline for the failure thing is that it's not a failure if there are lessons to be learned from it. And I think that this was such a beautiful encounter. I would not, if you ask me, do you want to go through, if you go back, is there anything you want to do different to prevent this meltdown? I'll say, no, man. Really, I really treasure this meltdown. I speak about it like I love it. I'm so excited about it now. Because I've reframed my mindset around failures, around this event, my relationship with this, I've made peace with it. And I felt like, oh my God, so much good has come out as a result of this burning experience.
But I also feel like a lot of a big
Part of psychotherapy and coaching is really to give a new meaning, a new lens to all events, so you can get a different meaning and hence different response to.
Yes, because at the end of the day, we cannot control a lot of things. But the only thing, the power that we have and the power that we should reclaim really is the way we react. That is where our power lies.
Or the way to give meaning.
Yes. Everything is neutral. Everything is neutral. And we assign meanings and we attach meanings to it. Right? So that's the power that we have. That bit we can control. Right? So that's why we train ourselves to be more resilient, mental resilience. Yeah.
And you wouldn't even give yourself say for example you did 6 months with Corinne, right? Do you think that in any point is there ways to I know you wouldn't want to speed it up, but because for somebody who might not have the financial ability to go through psychotherapy session, is there any other solutions for this folks?
Well,
because the story would have been very different if you don't have the money.
I think certain things you cannot rush, right? In fact, I tell you, I felt like when Corinne signed me off and said, hey, Dan, during our last session, I didn't know it was coming. She said, this is the last session. I think you're fine. You can go now. Right. That's it. My job with you is done, right? I felt like it wasn't long enough. I wanted it to go on. This is how much I have started to enjoy the sessions with her. previously it was all stigma and everything. And then after that, I'm like, no, this is so joyful. This has got nothing like the way I thought it was going to be. So when she signed me off, she said, okay, you're ready now. You can fly. You're like a bird. I let you fly. I'm like, yeah, then what do? I don't feel well. I don't think I fully recovered. I was trying any reason to continue seeing her, you know.
Trick in the book, right?
Yeah, then I was like, no. Then she said, then, so now, you know, so I asked her, my question was, so what do I do now? You know, what do I do now? Do I go back to my business or / businesses? Should I shut down one of my business so that I should do less? You know, I wanted easy answers that someone would give me and I don't have to make the decision myself. She wouldn't answer any of those. Right. And then I said, then what do I do next? Like next week, this time, what do I do? You know, then she said, well then, you don't come and see me. Then I said, then what? Like, you know, I feel like I need to grow some more. There's still so many questions I have. And she said, oh, you know, the search doesn't end. It never ends. And now what you should do is you bring your own experience that you've been touched, this whole recovery process, your story, and you go and touch other people's lives now. And other people will need your help, you know? And I was like, oh, that's something I can do. It felt tangible. It felt like, oh, that's task-oriented, you know, for me, the overachiever type A kind. I'm like, okay, I can do that. So what I did was, then I emerged out of my bunny cave and I shared my story with my friends because a lot of people didn't know why I went. I didn't tell a lot of people what happened when I was in the recovery period. But after I recovered, I emerged out of the cave, I shared with people, and guess what? I got so many direct messages and calls and everything from my outwardly successful, happy poster family friends asking for Corinne's number, asking for my the medication I was on, asking me what happens during a psychotherapy session. Like you ask me, like they have stigma. They think, is it like that? Is it like that? Okay, but these are the people who are willing to now reach out for help. Why? Because I was the first one to say, hey, you know, I went through it, you know.
Right.
I failed, you know. I've been a total embarrassment to myself, my family, and my friends. But it's not. But I'm so comfortable about talking about my failure because I don't see it as a failure. I saw it as a point of sharing information and intel. And this is the honest truth. This is what happened.
Of value.
Yes. And really, I was just sharing because I am a person who wears my emotions and my stories on my sleeve. If you care enough to ask me, I will tell you. Because I don't feel like I'm defined by those moments. I'm not defined by my dad, you know, problems or, you know, my dad forsaking me. I chose not to be defined by that. I'm not defined by my meltdown. You know, so that's why I feel very comfortable in sharing what to other people might be very embarrassing stories. But I share it wholeheartedly, and that's the beauty when you are okay to be vulnerable enough to share so open-heartedly. It becomes a strength, right? And people feel very drawn because you are very safe. And people come to you and now they are willing to ask for help from someone they feel very safe with. So that's what happened to the people around me. And that was when I realized the epiphany. Oh my God, so many of us are miserable. So many of us are pretending to be okay or not even taking care of ourselves. So that's how I decided to do the Happy Academy thing. And then I went into coaching. So one thing led to another, lor. So my failure created a business opportunity for me. You know, I don't know whether it answered your question or not. But that's the way I see it. Yeah. What was the original question?
Well, it was on the note of if people do not have the financial ability.
Okay, yeah. So I see. I remember that I didn't answer your question. Okay, so I think that there are a lot of people who are willing to help in any way that they can. Just to give you an example, Corinne, when I see her, sometimes I will be like the third patient or the fourth patient of the day. So it's a long day, right? I'll usually be the last patient because she knows that I need a lot of time and I'm like a talker and she enjoys talking to me. But what she would do is when she's talking to me, she will take out her tiger balm rub ointment. Then she will take this thing and then she will just keep rubbing herself like that. In pain, like that. And sometimes it's so painful, she's in agony. Then I say, hey, do you need to go and see a theta or not? You know, then she say, oh, you mean this? Then she say, oh, no, this is nothing, this will go away. So I say, oh, but did you sleep like 落枕 or what? She say, no, this is psychosomatic pain. So psychosomatic pain is absorbed from another person whose life condition is very low. So when you come in, it's like a vampire, it like... So if you're a light worker, you're a miracle energy worker, it's a little bit woo-woo, but that's what happens, right? You get sucked, you get drained, right? It's a lot of work. That's why it's empathy work when you're coaching someone. It's very draining. And that's what happens is when I do a call with someone, when I'm coaching someone, after a call, I have to recharge. I go like, wow, draining. Because you must be very present for that person, and it's an energy exchange that's happening like that. And the person feeds on the energy as well. A lot of things you don't see that's happening is happening, right? So there's energy transference. And the psychosomatic pain is absorbed, especially when someone is very needy. And the money bit, right, is actually a transfer of energy as well. So I realized that Corinne does a lot of pro bono work as well. It's not just about money. And you know, even though a session I have to pay her a fixed rate, usually when we go over to 2 hours, there was once we even did 3 hours, she will just charge me that 1 hour fee. So there are ways of, like, for example, people who have got problems and they're not able to, like for me, people are able to come to my site and book a discovery call with me. And my discovery call is not a sales call. My discovery call is always, what is the problem? When you book a discovery call with me, you have to tell me what are the problems, right? What challenges you're feeling. I will try my best to resolve the questions that you put on the form within that call itself. At least some way for you to tangibly be able to move on to the next step without hiring me. It's not a sales call, right? So there are ways, and there are a lot of people, especially people who are very aligned with this kind of work. We have a lot of heart. So I will not turn away someone who is in need and has no money and I say, hey, when you got the money, then you come and see me. I'm not that kind. No. But of course, there are people who are like that, right? But I'm saying that there are a lot of light workers out there. I like to call us light workers. We're putting so much light out, and we want to bring out the light in people. That is the piece of the work that lights us up, not the money.
Wow. And to switch gear a little bit and pull out, what is your ultimate currency of life?
Oh my God, I love this question because I teach the concept of the currency of life and happiness, right? And that, you know, we have exchange rates, the yen, the US dollar, it, you know, fluctuates and stuff like that. So I always tell people that every dollar that you make in your business and in life comes with a cost, and it has a variable exchange rate. So before you accept this job from a toxic client, you got to think, this dollar that you make, are you going to earn this dollar with $3 of pain? Or are you going to earn this dollar using $5 of your time with your family? Or worse, $1 you make, it costs you $10 in health. So you be very mindful, not all dollars are equal. So that's a concept I teach. So thank you for this question. The currency of my life is to see other people succeed and be happy and thriving. That is my currency. As you grow older, you will realize that you have less and less material needs and more soulful, spiritual needs. And that has to come from everybody around you being okay. That's enough. And that is so priceless, right? When everyone is healthy, everybody leads a pain-free day. I think that's such a big blessing. Every day that is pain-free. You see, the thing is, when we are okay, we don't feel anything, right? We are functioning properly right now, we don't feel anything, so we have nothing to be grateful for, almost like, because you don't feel anything. It's only when you have the ulcer in your mouth or a pain somewhere and it draws attention to it. And then you go like, oh, I'm sick. But when we are well, we don't go, oh, I'm well. The wellness doesn't feel like a thing to you, you know, you take things for granted. This is how bad we are conditioned. So I tell myself, if I have today that is pain-free, at night I'm able to crawl into my bed, comfortable bed, I'm going to crawl underneath my sheets. Oh my God, I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. But you have to feel it, like, you cannot be just lip service. Like, you have to really feel it. But a lot of people, when they're young, they won't feel like that.
Well, I almost think that gratitude journaling is a hack for feeling that, right?
It is. I do that too. It works. One of the very basic tools that I picked up during my recovery period with Corinne is to be very expressive and tactile. And also because I mind-body disassociation, so for me to kind of put everything back again, I have to do a lot of writing because it's brain, motor, and body. So a lot of writing. And then when you write, you sort out a lot of the mess and the wires. It's just the way that the language puts everything in place.
Actually, that might be a really good tool for someone who have no money.
Yes, of course. There are a lot of things that you can
Journaling.
practice and stuff. There's, you know what? Everything is a Google click away right now. You have a problem. You got to ask the right question lah. If you don't even know what questions to ask, then of course you don't know where to direct yourself.
Yeah.
But now everything, like you were talking about Quora, right? You have a lot of people willing to give a lot of really good answers and a plethora and a range of answers. There's no one right answer, right? It's what's right for you right now. So if you have a question, ask the right question. There are a lot of resources out there that's free. You don't have to pay. You can do self-help. I mean, I buy a lot of self-help books. I'm a self-help junkie, Yeah.
Yeah. And
how do you define happiness?
Happiness is not a destination. That happiness is a state. It's in the everyday. So happiness can be that your environment is very fucked up, but I can feel very happy, right? People who's everything going well for them very successful people, you see a lot of celebrities killing themselves because they feel empty inside. So successful people, but they feel empty inside. They are a real thing. We have a lot of those people walking around. Okay, outwardly they're successful, like my friends who have poster wife, poster kids, poster job. Because because they didn't take enough care to design their life that is for them. They are living a life that is for other people and defined by society. I think the impulse and the instinct for us, wellness is something that is so important and so crucial, but we don't do it because we are so conditioned to follow what society decides is best for everyone, and we don't question it because we've been brought up this way, especially in Singapore. Everything is economically driven. Right? It's all about getting the best paying job. And we are brought up in, it really depends on what your parents feed you, right? Your parent will say, get the best job, study this, study that, don't study this, 这个你哪里有饭吃? 你要做演员, 你要唱歌, 你做 YouTube channel, 你要做 pro gamer. But actually, a lot of people make a lot of money these days, okay? But you got to gain mastery. You got to gain mastery and there's a lot of opportunity in that. But the thing is, the previous generations are all about safety, right? And it's all about cookie cutter template kind of life. So in Singapore, I always feel that we are all chasing the very, very soulless metrics of success, like money, currency. That's the only currency people know.
And I think you say that because you have gotten it and it didn't feel...
Yes. No, it's not like I got it. But the thing is, I've always followed my heart. So when I make that dollar, it feels damn good. But I'm not making that dollar for that dollar's sake. For me, if the dollar doesn't come, it's fine because I'm happy in the doing. I'm in a happy state. That's why I mean that it doesn't matter your external circumstances and your environment. If you have proper alignment between your values, your passions, what you like doing, where you are best able to express yourself, right, the passion bit, then you're going to be happy in the everyday doing. And guess what? The thing is, why did the money not become a problem for me is because I am so ingrained in the doing. I love what I do so much. I gain mastery. I do a good job. There are certain values that are important to me as well, which is the quality of the work. The pricing has to be right. You have to service people well. You have to be honest. You have to be authentic. You have to have integrity. Then when all these things align, the money is going to come. Therefore, my definition for serial entrepreneurship, do what you're passionate about, right? Follow your heart, and then the money will sort itself out. That, if you want, is the formula, right? So to me, happiness is definitely a state, okay? And it can be in the smallest things. It can be like, oh my God, this coffee is so good. Or it can be, today is a good day because I had such a great connection with Bryan. We spent 2 to 3 hours really talking about things that we want to talk about. A conversation that is meaningful, hopefully, to other people as well. But it's definitely meaningful for me today. And I feel so grateful for this opportunity to be invited. This is an opportunity for you to pick my brains, for me to share. But not because I want to tell everyone, oh, 我多厉害, 我多厉害. It's not. It's because my value, the happiness is in the this, right? And if you look at my gratitude journal, if you look back, every day that is like Actually, my days are all very good one. Okay, always smiley, smiley, smiley one. No matter how fucked up it is, it's always smiley. But when the exceptionally good days are always, it's never like, oh, I've clinched big job with this company. It's never that. It's always, oh my God, I had such a great conversation with this person in the cafeteria. Or like, oh my God, I made a waiter's day by acknowledging his presence and thanking him for his amazing service. He said, oh my God, you are the first person who actually saw me. So that makes my day. So that's happiness to me. And I think happiness to me is also when I see everyone is thriving, success, doing well. You don't have to get there yet, but in the process of getting there, you are happy and I'm happy for you. Like you said, you're excited about your website. You showed me and I was like, oh my God, I so share your excitement. I will look at it. Oh my God, when is it going to get released? It's almost like it's my website. Yeah. So when people are excited and happy, it juices me up. And it is not something that I consciously do it. It's just built into my DNA. It's a very natural thing for me to feel happy when people are happy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do want to underscore a thing that you said there with regards to checking in with yourself, like what get you excited in the day, and then reflecting back. Because I would say that if you have not done your gratitude journal, you wouldn't know that was the thing that brought you.
Correct. I saw patterns. Yes.
Yeah. And because and we're not really good at, I mean, if you're just living our day-to-day life, not knowing good at what activities bring us emotional rewards.
Correct. So I think it's always important for us to, that's why mindfulness practice bit is very important, because otherwise life is just happening to us and at us. You know, but we have to unpack a lot of things. And if we bother enough to slow down, because when everything is moving fast, like when you're driving, when you're moving very fast, you see the trees, you don't, it's just... Yeah. But if you slow down, and they say slow down, smell the roses, I mean, you know, that's when you can really appreciate and you know the nuances and you really sit down and you check in with yourself. Yeah. This is all mindful practice, and that's why meditation is a key thing that I will encourage everyone to do.
And I want to come back to one of the points that you mentioned earlier with regards to doing what you're passionate about and making a business out of it. Because on one hand, that sounds like great advice.
Yes.
But on the other hand, what if you just likes to play, I don't know.
Like sleep. Like
right.
Sleep is a passion.
Exactly.
I know.
Right. Okay, yeah. Or watch Netflix. Yeah.
I'm going to do my next cornerstone post on my site is going to be about passion. Okay? Because I think that firstly, everyone has been saying, follow your passion, you know, chase your passion, you know, follow your heart, right? And because everybody has said that enough times, there will be another camp of people that will say that is the worst kind of advice. Following your passion is your worst kind of advice, right? So that's the second camp now, and that's the very invoke fashionable way now for you to kind of dispute the passion is important thing. So everyone is saying following passion is bad advice, Yeah. I'm going to come up with the third camp now, right? Which is this is not right or wrong. To say that passion is the worst, chasing your passion is the worst advice is also the worst advice. Okay, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. If there were two that I would choose to disagree, I would disagree with passion is the worst, chasing your passion is the worst advice. I will disagree with that more than chasing your passion. Here's why it's important. I always tell people, the last slide that I always share, the last thing that I share with all my corporate training or anybody that I talk to is always follow your heart. But it doesn't end there. There's another slide that says, but don't forget to bring your brain with you. So this is the same thing as you apply it to passion. Always follow your passion, but there are conditions attached. You have to qualify what your passions are, because passion alone, singularly, if you put a full stop there, you have to unpack it further. There are opportunities in certain passions and there are no opportunities in certain passions. So you've got to qualify what passion it is first, right? Having said that, I think that this is what Quick Xiaoyin, whom you had on your show, she talks about passion a lot. This is exactly what I agree with her totally. Her concept is don't just stop talking about passion, right? How can we mature passion into its next level, which is compassion? Okay, and the difference between passion and compassion is this gap that's filled by empathy, right? And why is empathy so important when we are business people? It's because we are listening and we're paying attention to the yearnings, the problems that people need solving, the demand, right? And when we have enough empathy to understand what people need, what problems they have, and we convert our passion into offerings because we have a lot of compassion to solve this bit, it becomes an opportunity. It becomes a business opportunity because your passion has to meet a problem that people are willing to pay money for. You can say, I'm so good at sleeping. Okay? If it ends there, how are you going to make money?
Right.
Nobody's going to pay you $2 for every 1 hour of sleep. Well, maybe if let's say you are a lab rat for a sleep study, maybe you can turn that's an opportunity, but you got to match that passion onto a problem that people are willing to pay you money for. And for you to be able to solve a problem, then you have to gain mastery. Right? So that's why passion cannot be taken wholesale on its own at the ends there. It has to be tagged to something. There must be an and or a but, which is there an opportunity in this passion? Do you have mastery in the solution that you're providing to solve this problem? And when you have that intersection, you have a business. You have an opportunity. And like what Xiaoyin said, as long this world, people are thinking like, okay, maybe job opportunities are drying up, the world, the future feels like so scary, we're all going to lose our jobs. No, she put it very nicely. As long as there are human beings, there will be human problems to be solved. As long as there are human problems to be solved, there will need to be solutions. And then you are supposed to see how you can creatively come up with a solution based on the passion that you have. It's creative problem solving. So that's the formula lah.
That's great.
Is it clear?
Yes.
Is it clear? Guys? Yeah, passion, yes, it's very important. Because you know why? Yeah. Starting a business is very difficult. There's going to be a lot of suffering. So I always tell people, what are you willing to suffer for? It's just like when I did my web design.
Yeah.
The process was so fun. I was willing to suffer in a way that, okay, I am able to call people. My skin is thick enough to flip and call people and almost beg for a job, right. Because I believe in what I do so much. But if you don't believe, you don't have that passion, you'll be like, you don't even believe in your own product, you think you're going to have that thick skin to call people, everything will feel like pulling teeth, right? So that's why no matter whether you do a job you like or don't like, whether it's your own business or you're working for somebody else, you will suffer. All things being equal, why don't you do something you're passionate about? Simple or not? Very simple, right? Yeah.
What are things you need to unlearn to be happy?
Okay, one of the biggest mindset shifts that I had out of the 6-month recovery, like explosion one, was I came up with this mantra: enough is plenty.
You want to unpack that?
Okay, so for me, my problem in the past was that overachiever, perfectionist, do, never ending, sleep is a waste of time, more. Okay, everybody is like that, more money. So I always ask people, what comes after more and more? The answer is more, and more. So it will never stop if you never have enough. Okay, so for me now, that I decide, okay, now I have to get clear on what is enough then. Because if you have enough and you are clear that it is enough, that means you got to calculate, okay? You got to do some math and you got to get clear. It cannot be a hazy concept, okay? Once you have clarity around what is enough, everything else is fluff and bonus and extra and you don't need it. And then it's plenty. And then there's no scarcity, there's no neediness, there's no more need for needless, mindless hustling. When you know right now it is enough. And when you are there, you are no longer a beggar. You can be a chooser. Wow! Okay, clear or not?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's how I feel. I need very passionate when I talk about these things because it really worked for me.
And I would even go so far to say that yesterday one of my favorite quote on the article that I wrote is, what is this? If you do not know what is enough, the default answer is always more.
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, I didn't say that, shucks. But yeah, it's good. That's great. Exactly. It's the same. It's a different take of the same thing.
Yes.
So for me, how it applied is that I realized that really, I've got a roof over my head. I have every luxury item that I want. Yeah. I can do with less, definitely. I don't need anything more. So I realized, okay lah, no need to do any more already lor. focus on yourself, your health, your family, your people, doing joyful work, being more discerning and selective about what you say yes to. So then it started me on this journey of decluttering, and very Marie Kondo, start to like, okay, does this spark joy? You hold that piece of clothing and go, does this spark joy? And then also you take a project, you also, does this spark joy? Like you want to hire someone, does this spark joy? Or like when Bryan got in touch with me to do this interview, is it going to spark joy? The decision process becomes like that, right?
I love it.
Let's shift gear a little bit on some of the newer stuff that you're doing.
Okay.
On this retreat that you just did for, can I say it?
Yes.
Okay. Design Council, Singapore.
Design Council.
Yeah, on called How to Human,
dream
right?
Client, they are dream client.
So maybe let's tell me a little bit about the thinking behind the shape and the structure of this course, and what are some of the biggest pain point you designed this course to tackle?
Okay.
Also the retreat, sorry.
Right. So this retreat was something that I was not prepared to do. And in my mind, the vision I had was to first focus on my personal coaching. And then I was going to maybe in 2 to 3 years' time graduate to doing corporate retreats. Except that this opportunity came last year. It came knocking around September last year. And that was when I just started my dannybunny.co thing. But I have had, in a couple of years before that, been giving talks. And I gave a talk at the National Design Center for a group of designers, and my topic was about designing your life. That talk was so well received, and then somebody from the Design Singapore Council, one person was actually there. So fast forward, many months later, when they decided to bring in a corporate trainer, my name started floating around in the office, right? So they called me, and they were very interested to work with me. So of course they asked me if I did this or not. Then I was like, no, I don't, but I'm very excited about this opportunity. I think I can. So I need to understand what your pinpoints are. So of course I went in and I saw the directors, I met the team, I saw all their intel. And then they asked me questions like, are you certified as a trainer? Do you have a PhD in psychology or organizational behavior communication? I'm like, no, and no. Do you have a signature program? No. Have you trained any other corporate settings in corporate setting? No. Then they said, so why should we hire you? I said, I don't know. You all reached out to me. I didn't ask for the job. I didn't pitch for the job. But I said, but look, if you want me to sell myself to you, I can honestly tell you that I can deliver a kick-ass retreat experience that's tailored to your pain points because I know how to solve it. So moving on, my program that I came up with after listening to them and looking at all the feedback the program was called How to Human. I came up with the name How to Human. And I realized that really is the solution to a lot of the problems in a corporate setting. Because because of the corporate suits and the corporate armor that we put on, because it's a shark eat shark kind of world, for fear of being abused or taken advantage of or being hurt, people suit up, right? And then you have all this ego that is cock blocking everything, conversations, right? So if you look at communication, you look at corporate culture, and you look at trust, is a big word, it all boils down to the fact that somehow we've forgotten how to connect as human beings. And I feel that if we all strip away, the only KPI I had for myself for the retreat program was that by noon, I wanted everybody to be stripped off the corporate armor and leave it at the door. At the end of the day, I wanted everybody to have a good day. Those were my 2 KPIs.
Wow.
Very simple, right? And then I achieved that. And I realized that if we are able to connect human to human as human beings and really put aside all the ego, okay, all the pride, personal agendas, you realize that we all want the same things. And it boils down to just a few of the same things, right? We want safety, security, we want to be appreciated, we want to be loved, but we also want to love. We want to be helped, but we also want to help because there's so much joy and happiness in just helping someone, in just making a difference in someone's life. That kind of feeling you get is pure joy. And I'm like, so if you can strip away all this, and learn how to human, then other problems will solve itself. I was like, if I have 8 hours with these people, what is the one thing that I can do that's going to make everything else easier? So that was the basis of my program. And it was very well received. And I have, at the end of the day, people come up to me, hug me, and cry and say, Dan, I don't know how you make vulnerability so attractive. It makes me feel like I want to go out and bare my heart to the world. And I say, but that's because you feel safe with me. And if you guys, the 50 of you can feel safe with one another in that way, you can do anything and you can achieve anything and you can solve any problem. Because your ego is not cock blocking, you know. And it was a beautiful experience. I poured in my heart and soul and everything. Again, the way I built the website, I built the course this way. After that, I was totally exhausted, drained. And I left Singapore. I went to Canggu, Bali for 1 month, for a whole month, November. At first, I wanted to go there and do my thinking retreat and to decompress and to do some creative work. I was so spent and exhausted. I didn't do anything. I needed the 1 whole month to recuperate. Wow. So anyway, what's exciting is that as a result of that, now later this month, April, I'm doing a corporate retreat. Also, How to Human with People's Association. Wow. So another, probably a dream client who believes in investing in people and humanizing and bring humanity into the workplace. Yep. And I think that's a crucial piece of the puzzle that's missing in a lot of corporate settings.
Yeah. What are some of the more effective activities that you do that most causes or most retreats don't?
I don't know, you know.
Because you don't have an experience.
Because you know why? Sure. I told you right. My style is I don't care what other people are doing.
Right.
I don't do a lot of what they call business pornography, where you go and look at what other people are doing and then you try and like blue ocean, red ocean. I mean, although I teach people to do the blue ocean strategy, but the thing is, I feel like for me, if I'm well equipped to answer a question, I devise the mechanism or the way, the worksheets and the workflow are designed in such a way that I know it was going to help. So there's a lot of thought and design into, you know, very funny, all these civil service companies, right? They are very used to making everything very structured, very locked down. So when they asked me for the program rundown, they asked me, you know, they needed to know, the control freaks, right? They needed to know what I was delivering. I said, no, I'm not going to give it to you. Then they said, cannot, you must give. Then I said, my program is going to be full of awakening moments where I literally go and slap your face, right? I said, I will give you a slap to the left or right, or maybe at your forehead, or maybe punch you in the nose. But if I'm going to tell you, okay, afternoon 9 to 10 o'clock, I'm going to slap you on your left. Then 10 to 11, I'm going to punch you on your nose. Then you're going to what? You're going to spend the hour anticipating when the punch is going to come. And then when I deliver it, you might dodge it, or it might not be effective. Right. So I say, when I deliver a punch or aha moment, it has to be impactful. And part of the design of my program is that you don't know what's coming. Then I say, okay lah, we can don't know lah, but then my bosses need to know ma. Then I say, yeah, but the bosses are the ones that need the most slapping and punching. So nobody's going to know what I'm going to deliver. Then they said, then how do we know if you're going to be good or not? I say, you'll find out lor. I said, okay. So yesterday also I had a conversation with People's Association. Yesterday, literally. Yeah. How do we know if it's going to be good or not? I said, you just have to have a leap of faith. Yeah. And then I said that if it's going to be bad, I won't take a single cent from you. And then you learn not to hire me ever again. And you can tell the whole world that I'm not good.
And really, I love this strategy because it firstly puts you on the line to deliver good work.
Yes.
And then it takes the stress off of you because you're able to just refund, right? And that comes with knowing what is enough.
Yes.
Thinking of it.
Yeah, so I told them, I said, look, I don't need this job. Again, I didn't pitch for it. You guys came to me. And after you came to me because you're government, right? You have to go and talk to other vendors, right? In the end, you still chose me. Why? I don't have certificate. I'm not a PhD in anything, right? But my methodology works. I've got the heart in it. I can even do this if you don't pay me. It's fine. I'm ready to do that.
Actually, I'm so maybe let me ask a more specific question in terms of warm-up activities that you do that allow them to loosen up.
Okay, so the first thing I do for every retreat, every talk I do is I ask everybody to breathe with me.
So it's like a mindfulness practice.
Yes, it's breathe. Firstly, because usually before everything, I'm very nervous. So I need to myself also. But I always feel that I want everybody to be in sync. It's a synchronized. Let's sync our time. Yeah. Right? Let's sync our breaths. Let us start everything, the whole experience today And I always end with 3 breaths together as well. And every sprint that I do, like sprint 1, 2, 3, or after a coffee break or after lunch, I come back, let's do the breathing exercise.
Wow.
It's to bring everybody back. It's the thinking. So I do little things like this. Like it's not anything that is solely high, but it's small little things that I feel makes a big difference.
100%.
100%, right?
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, we should have done like breathing just now before the start.
Exactly.
And also maybe another questions to ask is, what did you learn from your first retreat? And how would you design the second retreat a little bit differently based on these learnings?
Okay, so what I learned from the first retreat was that I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. I was very, very proud of myself for stepping up to the opportunity. I could have just chickened out and said, no, I don't want. Because it was very scary. It was like, I've never done this before. And there's a whole lot of work. I had to start from scratch. I had no material, Yeah. And I had to go in and customize something. I'm not teaching like a Six Sigma. I mean, no offense to that, but I'm not teaching something that's already kind of everything is perfected. And I coach, I learn, I get certification, I can teach. Yeah. I was like trying to really creatively solve a problem from scratch. And I had to immerse myself in the company. I had to bring a lot of empathy. Really enjoyed the process, even though it took everything out of me. Felt really good about myself. Told myself that I would do it again if somebody would hire me. Was very grateful that I had this opportunity way earlier than I had planned. Design Singapore Council, they are a dream client to me. Very, very amazing people. I have so much love for these people, especially after having worked with them intensively for that day. I get invited to events and I go and I have so much affection for them. They have recently announced a change in director. So Agnes is leaving. I'm very sad. But I like that there's renewed energy and stuff, and personally I want her to thrive as well. So I learned that. I learned all that about the work that I'm doing. This is what I want. So I got validation and I was paid good money for it. I'm like, oh my God, getting paid for what I want. And then what else did I learn? Okay, so your other question is how would I do it differently? I would not do the whole thing by myself for 8 hours.
So it's just a 1 day, 8 hours course, is that what it is? One
person, I did everything myself. The one with People's Association, because of budgeting constraint, they have decided that they can only hire me for half a day. So I was like, hey, that's not my problem. So I cannot do 8 hours because initially I was going to think of how can I cut out certain pieces to bring in other experts in. So I become a facilitator. I teach certain components, but then I can mix in certain bits. And of course, these bits that I bring in has to be meaningful and tied to the organization's problems as well. But one thing I learned is that doing this whole retreat by yourself, because I'm high energy, if you know I'm a very high energy person, right? I like 8 hours like manic. And then they go like, Dana, I don't know how you keep your energy so high. Like what are you on? I said, wow, you should have seen me when I was in my 20s. I'm already very mellow. To answer your question, yes, I will take care of my energy more. Yeah. Otherwise, I need another month in Canggu.
Let me switch gear a little bit as it's coming to the end.
What are the few big mental blocks for creative to be entrepreneur? What do you see out there?
Okay. What I see often is that people who are very good at what they do in a corporate setting, they feel that suddenly if they do their own business, they're not going to be good at it. Like how? That they suddenly feel like they're not good at anything. And they feel like imposter syndrome, right? It's a very common thing. Feel that you're not good enough. Who are you? Who are you to teach? Who are you to do this? Who are you to do that? So my question is always, who are you not to do it? Right? Like when you first got a day job, weren't you a baby? Didn't you learn? Would you go in the job and ask yourself, who are you to ask for a job? No. So the same thing, right? You just have to align and manage your expectations. That in the beginning, it's going to be slow. At the beginning, it's going to be tough, right? So that's what's called blocking a lot of people, which they feel that it's imposter syndrome. Who are they? They don't feel confident enough. There's a lot of fear. Also, another one is they're not very clear. Okay, you're going to spend a lot of time doing the intersection bit. The passion, skill set, problem, to solve a solution to solve a problem that people are willing to pay for. Coming to that intersection is going to take time. That is the bit that a lot of people can't crack. But the thing is, it's not about, okay, think, come up with perfect answer. It's not. More, usually it's about trying. Then pivot, then, oh, this is the one. So if you're going to sit there and ask me to give you a perfect answer to what you should do by after I talk to you, some clients will say, then let me tell you my whole story. Then can you tell me what is the best job I should do? I'm like, no, hell no, I'm not going to tell you that.
So I think you might have suggestions.
Yes.
And they need to take
because it's a very personal thing. And also at the end of the day, if you have such an approach, you're wrong already.
Yeah.
Salah already. The approach should be, I'm going to try. I'm going to do it and see how I feel.
Yeah.
Whether I like it, whether I don't like it. Because you know what? You can imagine that you like something. Until you try it, you won't know for sure. You might be like, oh my God, I really hate this bit. I don't like it. Oh my God. Or it could be, oh my God, everybody's going to love this product. You do it, then you launch crickets. Nobody fucking cares.
Right.
Because you are solving a problem and this doesn't feel like a problem to them. They're not even problem aware. So then you are wrong, right? So I'm not going to tell you all this because at the end of the day, there are so many different ideas. I am strong in certain things, I'm weak in certain things. You might be an architect. I'm not in the right position to tell you what you can do as an architect because I'm not an architect, right? But I can tell you the framework and the way to do this.
And the process.
And the process should be this rather than that. So if you're telling me you want to sit there and think your way through and to come up with the best business idea, and when you launch it, it's going to be a huge success, wrong. You got it all wrong already. Entrepreneurship is a lot about pivoting, exploring, and micro adjustments along the way. And even when you do it like my panoramic imaging thing, I told you we have got a good run for 3 to 4 years. Does that mean that we're going to cruise forever? No, right? New technology is coming in. Prosumer cameras are better right now. Everybody go in the room can do a 360 right now. Then people still need you for what? You got to pivot, right? Either you do something else, different offering, or shut it down.
And you're quick in that too.
Yeah, so you go in your mind and then you go, this is just the way it is.
Yeah.
And you have to be okay with it, right? So this is the process. And I tell people, really, at the end of the day, you don't have to figure out everything. A lot of it is about good enough, let's just do it. And then we try and then we see. And a lot more clarity is going to come from the doing. And when you are stuck again, let us unpack that further. But until you do it and then you meet the problem and we unpack, don't go and imagine all the problems you have to unpack in phase 2 and phase 3 when you have not even done phase 1. Yeah, so this is how I think, I would coach people. Oh my God, a lot of tough love, but I'm like that with my clients.
Yeah.
Like, wake up!
I think
A big part of it is really just changing the way of how people think about things.
Yes.
And a great coach would be one that lead them to the answer instead of telling them the answers, isn't it?
A lot of it boils down to expectations. You look at a lot of the negative emotions that we feel, whether it's anger or disappointment or fear, sometimes it's got to do with expectations or even just giving up prematurely. An idea like for entrepreneurs is around fear. It's because of expectations. If you tell yourself that it's okay to experiment, it's okay to just go where curiosity leads you, it's okay to fail, but let's fail fast and recover fast also. Right? And then when we celebrate quick. Right? But then we go on, right? If you have all these expectations, then it's almost like inoculation, and you will be well supported mentally to pursue a business because it's going to be tough. Yeah, it's not for everyone.
Yes.
And since we're on that also, like, are there any telltale signs for people who should not be an entrepreneur?
Yes. So there are a lot of people who, even before I started to do like formal coaching, a lot of my friends would like to pick my brains. So they will buy me coffee. Hey, I'll buy you a coffee, they pick your brains. Then they will tell me their business ideas. And you know what? My default state is I encourage people to pursue their ideas, start their business, quit their day job. I love it when people tell me that, they're in transition, like our camera woman here. I love it when I hear someone is in transition because I'm like, oh my God, to me, it signifies possibilities. And that is so beautiful. Like when people tell me they broke up with someone, I'll be like, okay, let's mourn the relationship. I'll feel, possibilities. I always see that. Like, oh my God, you can date the whole world now. And like, your world is an oyster. So my default state is when someone tells me they want to do a business, you know me lah, I'll be like, do. Yeah. But then there'll be some people who tell me the business idea and then I go like, you better don't do, man. Or like they tell me like the way they want to do it, I'll be like, you better don't do. Okay, telltale signs is when they don't care what they do, they're chasing the money. Don't do that. I don't encourage. Where's the passion? Oh, my passion is the money. Okay, I'm going to rob a bank. Right? So that's one telltale sign when it's all just for the money. They don't care the who, the why. So they do the MLMs or whatever. I don't like it. I tell them, I say, don't talk to me. 你只是让我活而已了。我不可以. My DNA and my values are not aligned with this kind. I don't want to coach people like that. Like how to hack something, how to 10x your what by doing this hack or whatever. I hate it. I hate shortcuts, right? I like clever, creative solutions. I don't like 守株待兔. You know, I don't like to like, don't put in anything, want to get something. A lot of friends who want to do minimal work, but want to do a lot of things, like want to get a lot of money. Right?
Wrote about this.
Yeah. And then I don't like people like that. That's another telltale sign. Don't do it because you have no tenacity. Another one is they flip-flop. They don't stick with their idea long enough to see through. So like 3 months now, they tell me, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. They 跟很轻, they hear somebody do this, then they follow trend. They always follow trends. Okay, so then, no, drop shipping is very good. I do drop shipping, drop, right? Then drop, don't know what. 3 months later, I asked her, I said, hey, how's the drop shipping? Oh, no money, not a lot of money. I think waste of time. Now I'm selling insurance already. Then I'll be like, okay. Then after that, another 3 months, I'm not selling insurance already. Now I'm a financial planner. Like it keeps pivoting. I think pivoting is fine, but then you just keep flip-flopping. And then when I tell you why you do that, they keep saying, no money. I'm like...
But it comes back to one of the points you said earlier, because they're chasing
money, right? So when there's no money, they punch out. And then the thing is, no matter what you do, you have to see through it before the money comes in, right? Of course, there are certain things like maybe like now the rage and the rave is pao pao cha. Everyone is buying pao pao cha, right? So you do pao pao cha, you will make that quick money, that windfall, but it's not sustainable, right? Because anything that is so easily low input, high output one, guess what? Everybody will be doing it. And then very quickly, it's not effective anymore, right? So it always boils down to hard work, passion, mastery, quality. It cannot be any other way one. Okay?
Or unless
you go in with great business acumen and knowing that you're going to come out in
3 to 4 years.
Like bitcoins lah. You buy bitcoin, right? I had 2,000 bitcoins, you know. I had.
What happened to that?
That's another story. But you see, money, so when my friends say, wow, you know, you can totally retire now, and then what happened to your bitcoins? Then they lament, no? But I didn't feel anything. I'm like, why are you all so hard pain for me? I don't feel anything because you know why? I don't chase the money. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Yeah.
Let's dive into some quick questions.
Yes. Oh, this is the rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
What are some books or books you have given most as a gift?
I love this question. It really depends who I'm gifting. Firstly, I will have to see what state that person is in or what's applicable. 这个朋友最需要什么书 now, you know, and whether that person is spiritual or not. It really depends. But personally, not a book, it's a series of books that has the biggest impact on me is Conversations with God. It's by the author Neil Donald Walsh. Well, his name is a mouthful, Neil Donald Walsh. It's a series of books. And when I picked it up, it was book 1, book 2, book 3. And I just learned that book 4 came out in 2017 last year. And he's since also spin off a lot of other mini-series, and I think a total of 8 or 9 books now. But the main pillar, the core, were 3, and they were written back to back. And it's not anything that... I'm not a Christian, I'm more Buddhist than anything, but I really believe in all sorts of religions. I believe in the universe, okay, and I believe in multiple things. So for the longest time, I didn't want to pick up this book because I'm like, God. You know, the word somehow is a bit too strong for me. But then Corinne K was the one who said, Dan, I think you should read this book because you question about life, and I feel that you're ready to download more wisdom from the universe, right? And there are a lot of amazing questions in this series. So she said, start with the easiest book, which is book 1. It's very thin. Then it gets thicker, and then the last book was bam. Guess what? I absorbed it. I drank it like I was so thirsty. I read it. I didn't put down the book. It was a page turner for me.
Wow.
The premise is that this guy was very, very angry, the author, Neil. He was so angry with his life, right? He had a lot of questions, so he was very angry at God. So he asked God a lot of questions. Then suddenly, he received an answer. Like a voice came in and it started conversation, and he was supposed to write the book.
Wow.
So whether you believe it or not, God entered the conversation. So whether he's talking to himself or another part of himself, we are not sure. But the whole premise is that it was a conversation with God. But here's very interesting. The questions were very high level and the answers were super high level as well. And the author said that there's no way he could have articulated the answers that well. So it must have been God. So it talks about society, it talks about institution. Questions like, are we alone? Is there another planet? Are we the perfect civilization? Were there other better, more successful civilizations on other planets?
Wow.
Is there enough? Yeah. Are we one? Is there a God? God, who are you? God, if you're talking to me, who are you? You know, what are we here to do? You know, questions like that. Wow. So I won't spoil it for you, but it's a page turner, and there are a lot of hate explosions. And I'm definitely going to pick up book 4 because I just learned that it came out in 2017. So I've always loved that book because I think it's a book that you can go back and read multiple times at different age because it asks all the very philosophical questions and it comes with very interesting answers, right? But the few key messages that it talks about, which is very central to my belief system, is that we are all one. There is enough. So don't have to have scarcity mentality. There is nothing else that we should or should not do. There is no right or wrong. It's your way. Your way is not better than anybody's way. It's just your way. There's no one right way. So these are the 4 key things that it talks about. Another book that I would highly recommend is Eckhart Tolle, or Eckhart Tolle, depending whether you pronounce it as a German name or English name. It's The Power of Now. It talks about how the human being is always never in the present because we're always focusing on what's going to come next. We're always focusing on the next moment because either we're miserable, we're unhappy here, or we're always waiting for something better to come along. So we don't celebrate and we're not present for the current moment. And then our brain is always like a pendulum, like past, think about what I did wrong, regret, whatever. Oh, this person said something, I'm so angry, or what, replay. Or like future, oh, worry, what's the next paycheck going to be, the bill, or whatever, what's going to happen? Oh my God, I'm going to poor, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to what, nobody's going to love me, you know? But then you forget exactly what's happening right in front of you. So it talks about the power of now. And then for anybody, let's say for example, my friends who are going through some hardship or a breakup or lost someone dear, I would buy any book that is from Pema Chodron. She's an American Tibetan monk, and she talks about navigating difficult times and navigate difficult conversations. She deals a lot with emotions.
What are if you were to choose a book?
Oh, there's so many. I can't remember off my mind, but it's Pema Chodron. It's Pemachhodron, and she has an amazing concept called Shenpa. Shenpa, which I encourage everybody to Google and listen to some of the talks about Shenpa. It's about being triggered, certain emotions being triggered, especially like anger. Like how, and what can we do about it? So the whole concept of Shenpa is how can we practice so that we are not easily triggered into like by our amphibian brain and behaving like cavemans, you know, and you see people like fighting and, you know, quarreling in public, you know, that kind of behavior. How can we not be triggered? And how can we ventilate our bad emotions and be with the bad emotions? So Pema Chodron, Eckhart Tolle, and Conversations with God.
Got it.
Yes.
What have you purchased recently under $100 that has most impacted your life? It could be an investment of time, energy, or, you know, okay, actually.
I have 2 answers for you.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay, because the first one is actually slightly more expensive than $100. Okay, but it's close to $100 because I got a good deal from a guy on Carousel. Anybody who wants to buy a Kindle, I bought a Kindle, Paperwhite, that is cheaper. Please, you can ping Bryan or ping me or whatever. I know of this amazing seller on Carousel that's original, it's brand new, and it's selling at a very good price. I don't know how he got it, right? But anyway, I got one. It's very close to $100.
Right.
And it's very strange because I bought it because I asked the same question that you asked me for one of our clients. I said, hey, so what did you buy recently that's below $100 that's really good? And he said a Kindle as well. So he also said it's above $100, so it's a cop-out answer. So I said, okay. So in the end, I went to buy because I love books, right? And I love the smell of books. I love the dog ear. I like to write notes. I like to highlight. I like to smell books. And then when I travel, I will actually travel with a luggage full of books when I'm like that, And in my Bangkok apartment, I have books that I haven't finished reading. It's all there, all dog eared and stuff. So for me to actually move onto a digital platform, it takes a lot of, I don't know, I've tried it before on an iPad, didn't like it. But then they always say the Kindle is very different, so I bought it, and oh my god, I've had it for about a month, and I love it. I've already read 3 books on it. Yeah. Nothing will ever replace actual books for me, but the Kindle is a great experience.
A substitute for travel.
Yes. And it's, the reading, because of the way the screen works and the print, it really mimics actual print. And it's digital, you can actually highlight things as well, and then you can export it as PDF. And it's cheaper also. And the reason why I bought the Kindle was because there was this new book that I wanted to read and buy. I checked Kinokuniya, 40 call $40 over leh. But then on the Kindle store, it's $9.90 leh. I'm like, oh my god, if I were to buy 3 books that has got the same kind of difference in pricing, I would have made back the money that I invested in the Kindle. So that's my first answer, okay? So the second answer that is really below $100 is a CD that I bought. It's by Akina Nakamori. I'm a huge fan. Zhongsen Mingcai. For those people who are old enough to know who she is, I'm the #1 fan. She came out with 2 albums last year end, and there's this album that she came out, it's called Cage, and it's a tribute because it's a 35th anniversary. So she wanted to come out with an album that celebrates her career. So she did a whole album of disco songs, like influenced by in the 80s and 90s. And I've always wanted her to do disco because in her whole career she's never done disco. And oh my god, this album it's the best investment. It gives me so much joy when I listen to her. I don't know, I'm just happy, I'm in the mood. So it's very good money spent.
It's awesome. How do I spell?
Akina Nakamori. Okay. Zhongsen Mingcai.
What is the worst advice or recommendations you see or hear being dispensed in your circle? Okay,
2 things. One thing I've already said, which is passion is overrated. Yeah. That follow your passion is the worst advice, okay? So I've already taken care of that. But another thing, it's not so much advice, but a practice that I see is that passive income, hacks, get rich quick schemes, and people who have never built a fucking business on their own trying to teach other people to build businesses. A lot of charlatans out there right now because everybody is trying to be a coach. Everybody is trying to coach on something. And then I feel like there are a lot of people who have not gone through and earned the stripes in what they're teaching, and then they teach when they're not ready. And then a lot of people, and that's one thing that I really hated. I mean, I say that I don't do business pornography that much, but there was this one guy, I was just trying to see what he was selling, and he's like buying all these ads on YouTube, on Facebook. I'm just kept bombarded by it, even on Instagram. Kept seeing it. So I just see what she's selling. Again, it's trying to sell.
It's not Tylo Pet, is it?
Huh? It's not Tylo Pet, is it?
No. So this guy, I won't name names. I don't like to name names. So I said, let's just check out what success formula he's selling, right? This program is not cheap, It's like 5,000 USD.
5,000 is a lot.
5,000 a lot. If you exchange rate is a lot of money in Sing dollars. That's fine, okay? That's fine. Maybe, it's about the outcome that you can bring people. It's fine, okay? If maybe you spend 5,000, you can 10 times your outcome.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Great, okay? So I have no issue with that. But that scares me already. 5,000, it really scares me. I'm like, 5,000, seriously? Then you got to sell a really good thing. So let's just see how you run it. Right. But what really put me off was in the FAQ section. Yeah. And I attended one of his live seminars. That wasn't live. It was actually on autoplay. I hate people to do that. Right. They just auto-loop the video. It's really pre-recorded webinar. I'm like, all this okay. So I already know already. I discount already. But then, of course, in the FAQ, there were people who asked do you have any payment plans? Right. What would you say? Money is tight right now. I know that I should invest myself, but the 5,000 is really expensive and stuff. I don't think I can. Guess what was his answer?
There's no payment plan?
There's no payment plan. Okay, and then they say, if you are poor right now and you have no money, all the more you should invest in this. All the more I'm questioning you why you are poor. I'm like, fuck. Don't buy anything from this person. He has no empathy, and he just wants the money. Yeah. If it's me, I would totally say fine, there are scholarships. right?
Yeah.
I can give free. It's digital product, for goodness sake. It's a digital product. It doesn't matter whether you sell it to one person or 10 people or 100 people. It's the same cost of delivery to you. Maybe just a little bit of a Amazon server bandwidth that you have to pay for. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, and some payment processing fee. But I thought it was very irresponsible kind of advice.
Wow.
Like, if you have no money, all the more. It's like, wow, seriously? You know, are you so hard up for that 5,000 USD?
Yeah.
This is so bad. And guess what? These people, because they're so vulnerable and they're waiting to get a solution, they might beg, borrow, steal for that 5,000, which they will take their whole lifetime to pay back, and then dig themselves further into a hole. What I would do is, I have got scholarship. Please tell me, do a quick video why I should help you, what you envision to do with this, you know, and things like that. Tell me a little bit of a situation. I'm willing to sponsor you. I don't believe in giving you freebies. I feel that you should be invested in some way, and your way of investing is you tell me why I should give you this scholarship. Or I will tell you, let's just split it up. How much can you afford? Right? I can afford 1,000. Okay, sure. So are you sure? Where is this 1,000 going to come from? It's going to come from your baby's milk powder fund or whatever. If that's the case, maybe we can split it into 5 payments. You know?
Yeah.
Be a bit more creative. Or don't buy until you're ready.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what I don't like that's happening in the industry.
Got it.
What advice would you give to a smart-driven university student entering the real world?
Going to the real world?
Yeah.
I would say...
And what advice should they
Okay,
know?
I would say the world is your oyster. You have a clean slate right now. So design your life with a clean slate is better than, you know, deconstructing and reconstructing later. Because there are a lot of people who are in their 40s, like my friends. They chase after the pot of gold, after the rainbow that promises them happiness, wealth, success, and everything, and fulfillment. They get there. They chase the wrong rainbow, and then the pot they get doesn't make them feel happy. They're empty. So I feel that right now, when you're going out, you're fresh. This is the best time to put the horse ahead of the cart, not the cart ahead of the horse. So design your life, explore, okay, and go where curiosity leads you. Go where your heart feels called, you know, and then the rest is going to follow. Don't chase after the money first, because the money will come later. And then also, life and success is not one thing. It's always a series of things. So life is not like that, not one straight line or a beautiful curve. It's not. It's very messy. It's like that.
Yeah.
But you then have to bring a sense of curiosity, a sense of exploration. Be willing to roll with the punches, you know, and always uplift one another while you're on your way to your own success. Take care of other people. Lift other people up as well. Take care of people around you.
Are there any routines or habits you find important?
Yes.
Morning or evening?
Yes. So daily I do meditation. Sometimes I do 2 to 3 times depending on how frazzled I am. The more frazzled I am, the more sits I do. Each sitting is not long. At most it will be 15 minutes. And I just focus on clearing my mind or planting an intention and being in the now.
Is there any
Type of meditation that you do? Or?
It's just breathing, very simple, anchoring. And sometimes I watch my body. Sometimes if let's say I've got pains and stuff like that, I will sit with that pain for that 10 to 15 minutes and I'll give it a lot of attention. Sometimes if I feel like I'm very well nourished, I will try and put light out. So what I do is, I know this is very woo-woo, okay, please don't hate me, but this is the way I am, okay? Right. So what I do is I sit, when I meditate, I imagine myself to be this beacon of light, this bubble of light that just keeps expanding and going bigger and bigger and bigger. And I pull in people who are suffering, who I know are not well, they're sick, like people who are not thriving in life. I pull in their names, I think of them, and I send them a lot of light. And then I try and think of like people that are like outside of Singapore, and it just gets bigger and bigger. Then it just like covers the whole earth, and then it goes even bigger, and then the planet, and then the solar system. And this is also bigger, and then after that, bong, time's up. Then I stop. Yeah, so I do that kind of meditation as well. Different kinds. Got it. But I think it really doesn't. There's no way you can go wrong with meditation as long as you're willing to sit and be with yourself and by yourself. That's the practice. And then another more long-term practice is every 3 to 4 months, I do a thinking retreat. I will extract myself and I'll get out of Singapore and I'll be by myself, a lot of quiet time, a lot of solitude, and give myself a lot of white space. So I will think about my life. I will strategize for my business creatively. I will unpack what I've done, what I could do better. just think and give myself that space. But the thinking retreat is not the active sit there and think kind. It's really just planting the intention, giving myself space, change of environment and vibes. And then usually a lot of my best ideas come when I'm away out of Singapore. So that's a routine.
What are most common misconception about you or your work?
About my work? That I don't work. Then you don't work. Then you don't sleep. Like, what do you do then, you know? Like, then you are Tai. I'm like, what? Which Tai work until she melt down? You know what I mean? I'm not a Tai. I work very, very hard. But it might look like it's easy to you because it's very joyful for me. So that's one misconception. Another misconception is that, I've got it all figured out. Like, I've got all the answers. Then it's like, that's what drove me to my meltdown as well. Like, I had to have this conversation with my mom that, I'm this perpetual problem solver in my family. Everybody thinks that I am so well settled and I'm very stable. So anybody who's got a problem will always come to me. My mom will bring my brother's problems to me. My auntie will bring, everybody will come and ask me to solve their problem. And because I'm such a, I'm such a big empathy, I end up, before my meltdown, taking on everybody's problems, and I internalize it and I make it mine, and it became very exhausting. Wow. So that misconception is that I can solve everybody's problem. I've got it all together. No, I've got my fair share of problems and my challenges as well, except that I don't bring it home because I feel that my grandmother and my mom has been through a lot. They have really brought us up, and my best way of being filial to them and, and loving them is not to bring my problem home, because they're going to end up, they're old folks, they'll end up worrying, right? And then actually a lot of the problems they can't solve for you one. Then I don't want that to, I don't want to worry them, so I don't do that.
What conversations would you like people to have more?
Yes.
Thoughts to take away, to consider, to try, or otherwise?
Wow, so many things. But I really, really want everybody to think about how we can all win together. One of the concepts I teach is that the world is moving away from a triangular formation where everything is triangular. So you have a few successful people on the top, and they I depend on a lot of people working for a few successful people on top. So you see this in all control or power. It's all centralized, on very few people. And even like Pareto's principle, how 10% of the wealth is in 90% of wealth is in the top 10% of the people. So it's all triangular. You see in governments, you see in schools, you see in the economy and stuff. But I think slowly, because of technology and because everybody, there's this mass awakening that's happening right now. People are well-traveled, well-read, more connected. We are moving away from triangular formation to a circular formation. And this circular formation allows everybody to bring their unique gifts to the table, and we all win together. So the conversation I would like people to have and to talk a little bit more and to think about more is how can we have more community and less competition, community over competition, and how we can all help one another and succeed and thrive together, and how we can get, avoid the scarcity mentality. And how can I help you? I always feel that the best thing that we can do that will change the dynamics of every conversation is you sit down, and whether it's a business setting or personal setting, you ask, what can I do for you today? Like, what can I do to help you? Yeah. So you just tell me, and if I'm the best person to serve you, I'll serve you, lor. But if I cannot, I will guide somebody else. Yeah. That's a way of serving you as well, right? Yeah.
100%. Where can people find you and your projects on the interwebs?
Okay, so you can just find me at dannybunny.co.co, and the reason why it's not .com was that I used to have that URL during my blogging days. But then I stopped blogging, so I gave up that domain. And then when I wanted to buy it back, the guy wanted to sell it to me at $2,000 USD. And I was like, no, I'm just going to drop the M and make it even shorter. So it's dannybunny.co, not .com. You can find me there. And on Instagram, I'm Happy Danny Bunny. I'm not on Instagram all the time, but I post at least once a week. I try not put out noise. I try and put out when it's meaningful. What else? Also, a new business that I'm building with one of my very talented friends, Rebecca. Again, it's collaboration. It's community over competition. Is that we've decided to start this business called Lito, Lito. And we are a combination of a portraiture photography studio with copywriting services and web design. And the reason why we did this was because I was teaching a 6-week business course in my Facebook group because everyone was asking about this side hustle that I started that made me $10,000 on the side. So I created a Facebook group. And then in the Facebook group, I decided to teach people how to run a business and to run an online business. And I taught them the concept of a minimal viable product, an MVP. And then the MVP that I had to use a fake idea, a mock-up, right? So the mock-up was, I said, okay, so for example, if Rebecca and I start a business, okay, and then we call it maybe Lito because it's just an acronym from my surname and her surname because she's a toe and I'm a limb. So Lito. Okay, and then it means light, put out the light. So I said, let's just create a new business by fusing our strengths together. Then I said, you don't have to actually have an offering. All you need to do is have a landing page. And then you kind of tell people what you offer and you see if people respond to that kind of offering. So this is how you litmus test and beta test your product idea or your service idea. So that was actually just an example, but it then became a real business now, lor. So I'm really started and we've done shoots already. We're getting projects. And the reason why I thought that this is a great idea is because in my years of creating websites for people, a lot of clients, when you ask them to hand over their assets, which is the content, the writing and the pictures, two things happen. Either they hand you stuff that is very substandard, very ugly, and then it impacts my work, or they disappear. Because they don't know how to write, they don't know, then no photos. So I said, okay, why don't we come up with something that solves all this. Again, it's an intersection. So you can find us at litolabs.com. LITOLABS.com. I'm sure you will share it with your page and stuff like that. So that's where people can find me. Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Yay! I look forward to connecting with all of you. If there's anything you think that I can remotely help you with, I like to meet people. And thank you for this opportunity, Bryan. I think he's a new friend. And I think this is what happens when you open up your heart. And then the thing is, I had to X off a lot of my old friends as well while I was going through my recovery and my change in my life. I have to rewire myself. So my social circle also changed because I decided to drop certain toxic friends because they were kind of fueling my old patterns of behavior that I didn't like and I want to move away from. But what happens is that then new people come into your life. The new energy and the new values that you amplify right now will attract the right people to come in your life. And that's how I met Bryan, another kindred spirit. And that's what happens. And I think there are a lot of fragmented people, all like us, all over. And it can feel a bit lonely when you feel like, oh my God, I'm a bit weird, you know? Why am I an unconventionalist? Why do I feel like a misfit? I think this is what this whole program is about. So you feel like I'm weird. But actually, no, I think there are a lot of people out there who are similar. You just need to find the tribe. And then hopefully we will all support one another. And I wish you every success and happiness and fulfillment. Yes. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
All right.
Yay!